Good morning, afternoon, evening, everybody. Anyone who happens to be watching this on VOD, welcome to the Gaming Circle podcast. This week, come on now, everybody knows what we're doing here this week. We getting hype crazy for E3. K Asante, you know me. Everborn Saga, what's going on, bro?
Listen, one more sleep, and let's be honest, nobody's sleeping tonight until the big day. It is the Super Bowl for gaming fans. Let's go. And matter of fact, not even really, because Ubisoft is today, right?
It is, yes. In a few hours, we're going to already start the whole Ubisoft Forward situation.
I think we need to clarify something right now. Is it Ubisoft or Ubisoft?
It's okay. Haha, I get a chance to geek out a little bit. The original name is Ubiquitous Software. So it's Ubisoft. Okay. If it's Ubiquitous Software, then it's Ubisoft.
There we
Morning,
go.
Big Bad Mo. How you doing, bro? Thank you for joining us.
By the way,
that's the first one. Mm-hmm.
By the way, this is officially my last cup of Starbucks.
Oh, what's good?
I just upgraded from Keurig to Nespresso, and I'm telling you, my shit doesn't stink anymore, right? Like it's a whole new. I'm just walking situation around the house like after I had that, I went outside and I was like, you know what? No photographs, please. I'm just gonna get in my car.
So
I'm a celebrity.
You have it. It's still pre-made though, right? You don't make your own. You don't grind your own coffee.
No, I'm too rich for that. I have an espresso.
Oh, come on now. I'm a bit of a coffee snob. If it comes in a package, nah, screw that, man. I gotta grind my own beans. Welcome to the gaming coffee podcast.
There we go.
So a quick recap of what we're gonna do today. We all know what's going down. It's the time. I'm wearing the green. I got the green background. We're representing. Tomorrow I'm going to be totally green onesied out. I have the whole situation.
See
today. I'm going.
You do it too much.
The whole thing. You watch tomorrow. It's going to be crazy. Anyway, today though, we figure while we're getting excited, while we're setting up, getting ready for the big show, we would recap last year's big show. Of course, there was no official E3 last year, but Microsoft did do the game showcase, and with time removed, folks need to see it again. I think that the initial thoughts on it, Craig memes notwithstanding, I think different thoughts will come out of it once you have a second glance at it with some time removed from that situation. So I figured this week would be wonderful, a good enough time as any to recap. And it'll also be pretty good because we're expecting to see some of these games make returns tomorrow and possibly in better forms or, gameplay and whatnot. So let's get right into it. We're going to get started and we're just going to, how it's going to work. Please, if you happen to be watching this in the chat, if the volume is too loud, if the volume is too low, please let me know. I'll be aggressively using the volume. Obviously, we're going to be talking all over this because chances are you've already seen this before. So we're just going to get into it. And we're going to talk about it, discuss what we need to discuss. If we need to turn the volume up, we will do so. And I will get it started right now. So I should preface this by saying when I started watching this, like when I first thought we would do this, right? Let me crank the volume up just a tiny bit.
I don't think you should crank the volume up, but we'll see how it goes.
I'm not cranking it up. Just a smidge. So it's on now. But needless to say, when I had this idea and I thought, you know what, we should totally revisit this and watch this. I would say the first 2-3 minutes of it, and I'm like, yep, that's the first mistake that Microsoft made. So we're gonna get into it right away, right there. And if you need me to pause, Everborn, please just speak on it and I'll pause. Okay. So this is the first mistake they made, in my opinion, when I was watching this, because this was a great show. Okay, but. And before I even say what I'm going to say, I thought the Halo reveal and show, the pop in here and there notwithstanding, the show, the reveal, the gameplay, it looked decent. I thought it was great. But after all the hubbub and all the drama, going back to it now, seeing it from the start, I can see how they set themselves up, because look what's happening right now. The very first thing, because everybody's walking in, imagine 2020, Halo's coming. This is going to be it. Everybody walks in. What do they see first? This highly produced. This was created by some director. They had some information on it later.
Let me add something here. I thought that after seeing the Hellblade reveal,
that this would be the real thing. Yes.
Yeah. This is what the game itself would look like.
This is what I was about to point out. This is the first mistake they made. If you know, and in hindsight, they knew that the it wasn't like at its best to be shown, but they still had to show it anyway. Okay. But if you know it's not at its best showing, why the hell would you like show this, the most realistic of realistic renderers, right before you show that? That really points out how bad that one looks. If you show it after this, you know?
Okay, but now I want to be fair, right? I think that this is achievable on current hardware.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
PlayStation, 100%. Xbox. This looks like it's attainable.
No doubt. It can be achieved, but they weren't going to achieve this because they already came out saying this is multiplat. So they can't use any of the next-gen stuff.
I remember right here.
And then you say start demo, and then another. No,
but look at this screen right here. That screen is a visual downgrade from
most def. Yes. So it's like, why? Then you get mad.
Pause this right here. Pause this.
All right.
Well, wait till you get this guy's face back.
Okay, I'll get it back.
All right. So if you're looking at this, right, you can't tell me, and even this, right? Look. You can't tell me, and I don't know what they got going on with their mocap or whatever. Like after you know that people recently looked at The Last of Us 2. Yeah. This mocap for the face, his face acting just feels really like it's a video game, right? It doesn't feel like something that is supposed to scream a game that was, even if it's current gen, that
what would have happened? What would have helped that a bit?
2020.
In my opinion, what would have helped that a bit was if they did more with the hair instead of putting it on like a mask. You know what I'm saying? Like the top, it doesn't move. There is just no isolation there, so it really helps. And let's be clear, in a vacuum, this is decent looking. This is a decent looking, in my opinion. That's a decent looking model. There's no problem with that model. But
there is a problem,
like you're saying,
and I'm going to tell you why. Even if you take out the Last of Us part of it,
okay.
Look at the initial reveal when he didn't have the long hair, like right when they showed him. Then that was supposed to be in engine, and it doesn't. The facial capture for the facial motion capture was not was better than what we see here, right? The Chief looks good.
But just Chief always looks good.
Watch him talk. Look at his face move when he talks. Go ahead.
I can't stand this.
Yeah, he's being a bit too expressive.
He's also overacting. Yeah,
exactly. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it counts against the graphical output. Honestly, when I saw this, my only critique, even beyond everything, my only critique is, look at the guy's hair.
Yeah.
Look at his beard. They're running movement, right? It's literally stuck. It's like if you were to hold him upside down right now, his hair would still be in that same coiffed position.
Yeah,
that is an issue.
The interesting thing, though, is that they go directly from this to the gameplay.
When you're done with this war,
and even when he gets out, like, look at this.
Yep.
Wait here.
Okay. And here you can see, if you pause and zoom in, which we won't do, you can see that some of the textures, like on his clothes and whatnot, not the Chief, but on his clothes, it's really low quality. And this from a PC, which should be, you know, the best renderability possible. But
I love that. I love, and if there's more movements like that, I love how it just went
transition.
Yeah.
You know what does that real well? We've been playing it this weekend. Ratchet and Clank.
Yes,
so good transitions. Amazing transitions.
And by the way, I love what I see here. I just the killing grunts. I can do that all day. And I like the density of what we're seeing here. I don't like
screen space reflections look great.
and you just saw the grass blades kind of cut in and out.
Yep. That was the first canary in the coal mine. People went.
And I remember watching this, thinking, I know Twitter's gonna have a field day.
Have a field day. See, my question is,
and
if you're even 343, why not just show some different environments? I know they're trying to invoke old school Halo, but this is like too bland.
But look at this though. I don't think that it is, right? Because if you didn't have the pop in, right? Yeah. Like look at that screen right there that he stopped at. All those individual blades of grass, all of that. Yeah. Like if you had some wind,
even that transition from the pause screen to back to gameplay had a bunch of pop in. Like now that I'm looking at it,
that shot right there, I like that. I like what I'm seeing right here.
Yeah, gameplay wise, I have no problems. I mean, this is great. I can't wait to play it. You know, and he's very dynamic now. He's popping in, jumping in, you know, doing this, doing that, you know, as Halo does. You know, it looks great. I do see what they meant with. Initially, when folks were complaining that the graphics looked flat, I didn't understand what that meaning was, but now I do see it. If you kind of pay attention to the shadows, there are very little shadows here. Like, you know, they're on the surface, but the surface does not denote any kind of shadows at all. Boom! Had to do it. I'm sorry. Wow. I had to do it. Let's keep it moving.
Wow.
See, anybody could do it, just like bam.
Jesus.
Right? So why didn't you do it, Microsoft, and go, somebody get some textures in that guy's face?
Now, I'm also not clear on how the grappling hook works. Do you can hit someone and pull them to you, or do you get pulled to them, or is it based on their weight? Right.
Both. You can use it to pull. To my understanding, you can use it to pull lower tier enemies, meaning like grunts and stuff.
The fog in the background. You see it? See it?
Yep. You can use it to pull like grunts towards you, but you can't use it to pull like the bigger enemies. And you can also use it to obviously as a grapple shot when you're traversing the environment and whatnot. See, so again, look for shadows. None of them, except for the shield there. See the shield there reflected on the floor? None of the shadows of the enemies reflect on the floor. And I didn't notice that at first, but it's true. You know, the projectiles, the energy weapons and the projectiles and stuff, they seem to have some kind of shadow, but not much else. So I do see that was potentially, you know. But still, if I saw this in a vacuum, hey, this game is going to come out soon. They're still in the middle of it. It's not quite done yet, but hey, it'll be great. I got no issues. We live in a world of day one patches, you know. Even now with Ratchet and Clank out right now, and I'm enjoying the hell out of it. There are bugs here and there. I see a bunch of hiccups here and there. I expect that at some point all that will get solved.
You see some pop in too, don't you?
Exactly. You know. The whole thing about the SSD being the screaming speeds, I see pop in on Ratchet and Clank. Have you?
No, you don't see pop in. You're just a hater.
Oh, I do. Oh, I am just a hater. Yes, of course. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
You didn't see that with your own eyes. Maybe your eyes are haters.
Maybe my eyes are yes.
Yeah,
I have Xbox eyes.
Yes, exactly.
I have Xbox eyes. I played Ratchet and Clank till 2:30 in the morning with my Xbox eyes, but okay.
Well, now let me ask you a question, right? So, how would you say Ratchet, in playing that first level, compares to? This is the other big part that really bothered me, because I feel like if they weren't ready, they should have showed interior shots, because they could have got away, done interior shots, and turned on ray tracing in small corridors. And I love his speech.
Yep.
And like here, right there, right? That looks better than what we saw earlier. Look at his mouth. This also looks really good in 4K, like that shot right there.
Yep. See, and the reason, and a reason why I guess I cut it a lot more slack than others did is you can clearly see.
Shot.
You can clearly see it's there are design decisions, like artistic decisions made here. It's not the lack of quality. They wanted it to look cartoony. So in certain shots, even at 4K perfect quality, you can see the cartooniness of it instead of, super realistic, which is what they were going for,
Yeah, but you can be cartoony and still look amazing, Ratchet.
Yeah. Again, that's why they probably should not have showed that lifelike Halo commercial right before this, because it really puts the differences in stark terms.
Even this lighting here, like, look what's going on.
See, look at the swords on the left and the right hand side. They're not bad, but when you zoom in, the textures are very downgraded. You can see them like right there, the left and the right side. It's just kind of, it is what it is. This has been debated and discussed at length, but I mean, the speech was awesome. The whole idea was great. Execution,
But you knew this looked like this, and you have it in a close-up, like in your mug shot.
Hey, this is what I'm saying. There are issues with your thing, but you're still showing it ahead of the like super realistic trailer of Halo, like just to make sure folks see that this is how you want it to look and this is what you're gonna get. Like, come on, 343, you could have done better, just that. Especially knowing that even Halo 4 and Halo 5 look extremely well compared to this. And there's Chris Lee, former head of studio, since this trailer was released.
Yeah.
He first lost his head of studio title, and then he quietly just left the studio altogether.
No, but they do it that way because you want people to be able to work other places later on.
Of course.
Is he still at Microsoft, or is he?
I think he left Microsoft. I'm not 100% sure though. I think he left Microsoft.
Bigger battles,
I think so.
More complex visual
so let's hear what he has to say.
Displayed with 10 times the processing power per pixel of Halo 5. This will be running at a flawless 60 frames per second and will allow us to bring the Halo ring to life.
You think that'll hold true now with these new graphical enhancements?
We look forward to sharing even more.
Flawless 60 frames a second?
I mean, we're talking about Series X. I have no issues. Series S will have no issues. I don't think they're adding extra ray tracing and effects and whatnot to the OG, Yeah, and they're still running 60 frames per second there as well. So we shall see, It's interesting tomorrow, baby.
All right. So now this is another one that caused a little bit of controversy because we know what the last, you know what I mean? Why can't I think of the name of this? The State of Decay looked like.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it didn't look like this.
At all. Not even close.
So... And I don't know that it even had this sort of cinematic feel. Forget about the graphics. So, because it's more of a strategy kind of game, right? Like you have to fortify whatever.
Yeah.
Is this what they're aiming for, or is this just for the sake of this cutscene?
There you go. Your question there is why I question the whole idea of a CG trailer in the first place. It will never look like this ever.
Why not? They could.
It
absolutely could.
It won't.
I'm not saying it will.
Could.
I'm saying it could.
I'm talking about the world we live in, not the world we want to live in. Okay. And in the world we live in, this is not the end output of that game.
If this was a PlayStation game, it could be. That's a fact.
That's a fact. That's also not true. That's also not true because let me speak on it. State of Decay, this one looks very much like it's invoking what's the game that didn't do so well at launch on PlayStation? The only exclusive I didn't play.
Days Gone.
Days Gone. It's invoking that Days Gone style, and the Days Gone. Say what you will about it. The issue is not graphics. It's beautiful with a capital B. You zoom in, the leather, they are really good. But even that one still looks video gamey, whereas this is too CGI. That one has not cracked this nut. Even Last of Us 2 does not have this level of animation.
But Last of Us 2 is a last gen game. What I'm saying is think about what you saw.
Oh, you're saying
Horizon Forbidden West.
This is only for PC, Series X, and Series S. And you're thinking it's going to be exact. I don't think it'll be exactly like this.
That. I'm saying that
it could be about 70 to 80%.
It can be close enough to where you can cut in and out from scenes like that and mix it
on
with
that. On that, I agree. But see, I guess my question with all of this, my initial question with it, and I pause it for a moment. My initial question is, why do you set yourself up for those comparisons when you know we don't live in that world? You're not Naughty Dog. You don't have a history of releasing such graphic intensive games. I get the business reason for releasing CGI trailers. I do, but you're basically opening yourself up.
But you wouldn't say that if it was Ninja Theory.
Oh,
you wouldn't say that if somebody was using Unreal Engine 5. So my point is, it's very plausible it could look like that. That doesn't mean it will. That's all I'm saying.
Sure. I guess my argument with all of this is PlayStation. You know how I always argue that PlayStation gets away with certain things that Xbox doesn't? I think it's unfair. In this case, PlayStation can righteously get away with it because they have past historical evidence that proves that they are able to show and prove. You, Microsoft, don't have that evidence, so you can't do this. This brings up righteous judgment. You know, after you've proven, then you can start playing this game.
Let me put it to you in a different way. Let's wait till we actually see the game.
Exactly.
Before we say that.
And that's the reason why I think they should have waited to show the game itself before they start wowing people with CG trailers. You know what I mean? This is going to turn into Watch Dogs 1 all over again.
No. I mean, listen, I will have all the harsh words and we will play the tape if it comes out and it's not like a high fidelity kind of thing. Yeah. So, but right now, I'm fine with CG trailers, and if we see a bunch of CG trailers tomorrow of things that are coming in the future, I'm fine with that too. I like the idea of saying this is the roadmap. Yeah. Get hype. So
I'm fine with CG trailers for initial showings. Like, hey, this is what
an
we're
initial
going
showing.
For. I get it, but don't set yourself up for failure. Don't go overboard because they keep doing that. This is not the first time. And it's not just Microsoft. A lot of devs do this. They go overboard. Look at the freaking Slipspace engine demo that they showed a couple years ago. Overboard.
You know what's crazy though? Because if you look at that Slipspace engine, right? That was when did they show that? 2018?
2019, something like that. Yeah.
So at what point is that rumor saying that the game used to be in Unity? I never believed that rumor.
No, that's not possible.
Halo never ran on any Unity engine.
No. And the reason why that's not possible is because even when 343 received Halo, like, hey, you guys now get Halo, they received it in its OG engine that had been running on Mac. Not even on OG Xbox. They received the OG engine that was running on when it was a Mac game RTS third person. That's the same engine that it's been running all this time until they switched to Slipspace. So the idea that, they were going to, that's ridiculous. I mean, could they have tested it internally in a Unity engine to see how it would work? Possibly. There's a guy who used to work on Halo, who basically remade all of Halo as an 8-bit game and posted it somewhere. Like, I think it's a Nintendo, like, hacked Nintendo game. Like,
yeah, but
he did that.
I think it's Unity is good for prototyping. So if we say, okay, I want the game to feel like this, let me put up something in that. Quick. Yeah, but I don't think the game was ever being made in Unity, and that rumor never passed the smell test. No, so but aside from that, we just saw Forza. What did you think about that presentation? Because that was CGI.
So let's go back a little bit real quick.
Yeah, just pause.
Let's go back real quick. So when it comes to the Forza one, right, and this was captured in engine, right? When it comes to Forza,
that means nothing anymore, by the way. But
I know, because they can make movies in engine that don't end up when you put it on the actual console. You know, how much have you limited it
in post?
That's right. How much have you limited it to represent the actual thing? Does the game look amazing? Yes. Am I worried to the same level of CG versus real gameplay when it comes to turn 10 and Playground, not as much, because they specifically have proven themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like to a smaller scale, they have proven themselves. They definitely have. Of all the studios, even before Bethesda was a thing, even before any of that, the ones that they had in the bag that was good from day one was Forza, to the point where even PlayStation folks understood that it took the GT, the Gran Turismo crown. You know what I'm saying? So when these guys come out and they start being a little liberal in their visual aids, I'm not as apprehensive as I would be if it was something else. You know what I mean? Especially like we were talking about State of Decay a minute ago. State of Decay, since the very first one, has been nothing but potential. It's never actually gotten to that potential. It's always, the next one, you know what I'm saying? Like, which is very apt for Xbox.
But what let me ask you a question though. What else, what has Undead Labs done since State of Decay 2? Do they have any other teams? Are they working on other things?
Games. All they have is State of Decay. State of Decay created that studio. Like the founder had an idea for this, and I think from what I've read, he had an idea for 3 games. It started small. The middle game should have been what State of Decay was like recently, but even the recent one was bug ridden, so they had to kind of do a soft re-release where they fixed that. I forget, the Juggernaut edition or whatever. That's the middle game. And the third game was supposed to be almost MMO style, big, huge monsters. I don't think that's where we're going next, but that's where he was saying he was going to go way back in the day. You know what I'm saying? So now I don't know how far Microsoft will let them climb when it comes to that.
Well, but this is the other question now is, shouldn't there be something to show this year if they're not working on anything else?
That's the question, isn't it? But again, like, we do live in a world where folks are still talking about crunch. Folks are still talking about COVID, and there's studio talk left and right, studio acquisition talk. Even this one has monstrous levels of studio acquisition talk, which we can get into later. It went from 1 to 4, and they're serious about it. Like,
and they're talking about goddamn NetherRealm and things like that. Did you hear that?
Yeah. Yes. I'm hearing some crazy stuff.
Before we get into that, this right here is very important to me. I do not know what this game is. Apparently, Rare doesn't know what it is.
Rare doesn't either. Yep.
But whatever they're doing on the graphics front is beautiful, amazing, right? It's
beautiful. Yeah.
So what I want to know is, after hearing about this game for like 3 years straight, and them having, this is not like, I don't think this is like CG. This feels like it's like
it feels like it's in game. Yeah,
right.
I would say it invokes a bit of the style of Scarlet Nexus, just a little bit. Cartoony,
Breath of the Wild, a little bit, all day.
Well, Breath of the Wild was not as quality looking. Breath of the Wild was like Switch graphics. This can't run Switch graphics.
This is next gen Breath of the Wild.
I'll give you that. Okay.
Now,
because this was not, if you told me this was on a Switch, I'd be like, hell no.
But the problem is, like, if I'm Microsoft, I'm turning this into like my Horizon Forbidden West competitor. That's what I'm doing. Right.
Well, but it seems like, and this is just based off of my research that I've done off of this stuff. It seems like the difference between Everwild and Horizon Zero Dawn is that with Horizon Zero Dawn, Guerrilla like honed in on the gameplay first and then added the rest later. They were really like, I mean, if you look online, there are like videos on YouTube of Horizon Zero Dawn in like 2017, 2016. Like, it's been in the works for quite some time, and you can see how Halo evolved. Zero Dawn, like the how they were working on the idea of the whole monster, the dinosaur break apart monster thing. So that part, the gameplay aspect, was worked on for a long time. It looks like they did the same here with Everwild, but more on the atmosphere rather than the actual gameplay. So they're kind of like, now what are we going to do with this beautiful work of art? But
you have models for the gameplay, and this is rare. I don't doubt that they can put together good gameplay. But what I'm saying is, this is your opportunity to do that, and you won't look like you're copying Sony, because you can say, look, we arguably have a better art style than that game. But what is it going to be? And if it's going to be like some magic crafting thing, I hope that that's not what it is. I hope that it's not some like big, Sea of Thieves online type game, right? I hope that this is a crafted RPG elements, action RPG thing. I hope that that's what this is.
I hope so too, but I doubt it. I hope so too, but I doubt it because Rare has been on some weird stuff, as of a couple of years, and all the other studios are seemingly more responsible for that RPG hit. These guys are not really RPG heavy, and they kind of don't need to because they have other studios.
No, but maybe they want to take an RPG on. When have they done that?
Yeah, maybe. I would love to see it. I'm sure in their history they've made an RPG. Even in Nintendo days, they have to have done something. They're very prolific, but they haven't done one in ages. So yeah, I honestly, what worries me is, and I agree with you. From the look of it, from the atmosphere, it should be able to kind of give them their Breath of the Wild, but just like Breath of the Wild, just like Breath of the Wild, I meant Horizon Zero Dawn. But as has been documented that Guerrilla spent an enormous amount of time just honing that gameplay before they even started the rest. It makes me feel like if they decided to take this on and go, this is going to be our next Horizon, we're not going to see this game for another 5 years because this is beautiful, but they got no gameplay. It takes a while.
I have a lot of issues with the gameplay of Horizon Zero Dawn. It seems like they fixed them in Forbidden West. So I don't know how long they spent on. I'm not that far into it. I'm not that far into it. Listen, I was playing God of War first. Hey, Giggs,
give it an hour.
Giggs Bosun. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but
Giggs.
what about
What do you mean by Killzone? Please, yes, elaborate. Elaborate on what you think on Killzone. I loved Killzone, by the way.
I didn't. I was too far into Halo at that time to care. It got too stale
at some point, but Guerrilla is brilliant.
And anything that you name Halo killer, I stopped paying attention.
They didn't name Halo killer. They were victims of that.
Whatever.
I did not hear Guerrilla come out full-throated like this is our Halo killer.
It's the same thing. Anytime I hear Destiny killer now, I just tune out. I was like, oh, that's going to be another...
Sure. Now, if the developer comes out and goes, "Here's our Destiny killer," yeah, bro, you in for it. But if he doesn't say it and the community's trying to put it on them,
but I feel like when you hear it from the media, it's because they're having backroom meetings with the studio that says, "Yeah, well, Halo does this, but we do that."
Sure,
and then that will come about. Now, what is this? Is Tell Me Why?
This is Tell Me Why. I played it. I really liked it. It's out fully. This is not like, AAA bring the boys to the yard, quote unquote, but there are a certain segment of the audience that really, really like connects with this stuff. And I tried it and it was great.
But my question is, right? Why not? Like, because the problem here is that this looks like a game. Like this looks like
a game.
No. What I'm saying is the graphics look like, this looks like The Sims, right? Like,
sure, yeah. It's that style,
I think that, but again, they're not a first party Microsoft studio. So
no. This was just a. I don't know if it was this timed because it still hasn't come out. I think it may have come out.
It's free right now. Like you can get it.
Yes, for Pride Month. Yeah, for a while it was on Game Pass day one. It sold a lot. I actually think it even got like awards for like. The like awards for the best transgender character creation, like from a character development perspective, don't go in there thinking old school thoughts of gaming like this is a game first and a story later. No, this is a story first and a game second.
Well, let me ask you a question. I think that, and I don't know that Microsoft gets enough credit for this. I think Microsoft games, first party games, exclusives, they're very sort of gameplay heavy and story light. And so the characters, I think that we don't get these emotional connections to the characters.
You don't connect them like that. Yeah.
Should Microsoft focus more on story or just leave that to Sony?
I honestly, and I may, and it's an interesting question you ask because folks have been posing this framed question for a while now, and because of that, I've come to realize I had a bit of an epiphany. I should be based on my gaming habits, I should be primarily on PlayStation because I am not a multiplayer gamer.
True.
In general, I'm not a multiplayer gamer.
We're going to talk about Battlefield because that's a thing that's
another thing. Yeah, I am not a multiplayer gamer. I am an old school beginning, middle, and end kind of gamer. That's why, as much as I respect games like Minecraft, you'll never catch me playing it. That's why I won't be playing Warzone. Warzone and the rest of them, I have another issue for that.
I remember the day that I realized there was no end to Destiny.
Yeah.
That was unfortunately not until I was 1,200 hours into it. Because I was just playing with friends, doing raids. Right, yeah. But this is the thing.
Until the next campaign.
Right. No. And it was when they reset all the weapons, right? I was like, oh, the point of the game is to play the game. That's the point.
The journey is the destination.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I need a path to go on, not a linear path.
Beginning, middle, end. Yep.
Exactly. And if you want to do more, release a DLC or a sequel.
Release DLC, give me a new beginning, middle, end. I'm fine with that. But to keep me endlessly playing, like we'll get into it. But folks that are arguing like, oh, why is it that it's okay to pay $70 for Ratchet and Clank and have a complaint about Battlefield because Ratchet and Clank is 20 hours and Battlefield is 200 some odd hours? Yeah, when I log into Battlefield and I'm in the middle of that battlefield, I'll just stand there and let someone shoot me because it's endless free for all. Whereas Ratchet and Clank has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it helps you through that beginning, middle, and end. It's a story.
But even further, I don't know about you, but I'm a grown ass man, and I cannot and do not have the time to say I'm just going to devote it to this thing. Then it leads nowhere.
Not even chat. Let's not even talk about pauseless games.
Yo,
I'm a dude with children that are under 5. I cannot play pauseless games. I enjoy Destiny 2. I only play that at midnight because that's when the kids are asleep. And by then, most of my friends don't want to play anymore, which tells me I am not a multiplayer gamer. Just the idea of being a dad with kids that are under 10, you're not a multiplayer gamer. That's why I like a beginning, a middle, and an end.
My wife does this all the time. She'll see me playing a game and then she'll like start a conversation. And then I am terrible at multitasking. So I have to pause a game if I'm going to have a coherent thought to respond to something.
Exactly.
And when it's those games where you can't pause, I'm just like, you know what? Yes, honey.
Can't pause.
Let me turn this off.
Yep. I dug Outriders. Dug it. Wanted to play. I was talking to King David. He wanted to get on. Some sessions. Oh, hit me up. I could never hit the man up because when he's playing, it's during the day. And the children are running crazy. You can't pause the game.
He works at night, yeah.
Exactly. You can't pause the game, and there you go. So that's why most multiplayer games are not for me. And Xbox is big on the multiplayer, which is great. I have no issues with that. So to answer your question, the whole circle, to answer your question, yes, please. Don't downgrade your multiplayer because people like it. That's why they come to your service. Fine. But how about you give some of that single player some attention, like give it the resources they deserve, because while you're winning at multiplayer, and no one will deny you're winning at multiplayer, your competitor is literally got award shows where their butts are getting kissed because of their single player. Maybe you want a piece of that, not all of it, but a piece of that, because that all helps the mind share.
And again, I think when you look at this idea that, and Phil Spencer said this himself.
Yes. So he explained it was the biggest catfish in history. Indeed.
Absolutely.
That I saw that video not too long ago, and it still looks unbelievable to this day.
Well, okay, but what about Final Fantasy VII?
Well, the cutscenes were amazing.
No, I know, but that's what they showed in the commercial. At that time, I thought it was going to look like the cutscenes back in the 90s when it came out, and then I got the game, and I was like, oh, this is what it looks like. I still love it. One of my favorite games of all time. But I think that might be bigger than Killzone. But that Killzone stuff was crazy.
Well, but the reason why that's not as big as Killzone is because Killzone, they came out full-throated lying. Yup, this is how it'll look. Yup, it represents the full game. At least Square Enix was like, that's a cutscene. But that's it.
But again, to me, that's like in Sony's DNA, right? Because so Ratchet, right? We're both playing this. How do you feel it looks compared to the initial reveal? Playing the same scenes, because all those scenes are the same.
So again, like I think we had this conversation before. Have you played the original Ratchet and Clank? Like all of them, like the last one compared to this one?
No, I didn't play the one in 2016.
Okay. If you hadn't, since you haven't played that one compared to this one, I would imagine that I'm sure you've played a Ratchet and Clank game in the past.
Yes.
So your visual on this would be like, because it is, wow, like astronomical as far as increase in fidelity and density. And man, they know how to build a world. No joke. But if you paid the 2018 or 20, is it 2018? I think it was
2016. But
2016, anyway. Yeah. The one that's on PlayStation Plus. If you played that one and then played this one, I'd say it's a 20%.
I'm just saying compared to the demo we saw that blew everyone away, how does the actual game compare to that?
I mean, to my eye, it's relatively the same. Actually, I've watched Digital Foundry do the little back and forth, and to their eye and to their tools, it's even better in the final result than it was in the demo, because in the demo, some ray tracing elements were missing. You know, you see a Kraken pop up, and it's fast action, so the human eye barely sees it. You see the Kraken pop up. In the ray trace reflection, all you see are the tentacles. You don't actually see the actual Kraken, but in the final game, you see the Kraken and the tentacles in the ray trace. So they went in and they cleaned, So, hey, give credit where credit's due. Usually it's this way. You got your Ubisoft, Watch Dogs, amazing movie, terrible video game compared. Spider-Man, Miles Morales. Spider-Man had the puddle gate situation. Yeah. In this specific instance, from all accounts, and even my eye, it looks at least the same, if not better than the demo.
Okay.
Which is, hey, that's how we want it to be, right? Like,
no, well, I think it's partly because I hadn't played the 2016 game, but I just feel like, and I'm not taking it away from anything, it's still probably the best looking game I've ever played. So that's not, I don't want anyone to mistake my words, but what I'm saying is, watching the demo they showed, it didn't feel like a game. It felt like a Pixar movie, but playing the game, it feels like a game, which it should. But it's I don't know. It's just
let me give you a hot take.
It's like meeting your favorite celebrity in person. It's just
and realizing he's a normal person. Yes,
normal human being. Yes.
Let me give you a hot take that I suspect a lot of folks won't agree with me on, but I still feel that way. It's a bit of a hot take, but it is what it is. I honestly think, as great as Ratchet and Clank is, and it is great, like capital G, great. I don't think any game is worth $70, but in a world,
I think this was
in a world where we pay for $70 games, I don't mind paying for this $70 game versus Returnal, we'll say, right? I don't think, because we live in a world of microtransactions and this and that and this and that, there is justification to be made that no game should be $70, because it is basically subsidized many ways to Sunday, right? Even Ratchet and Clank, as soon as you log in and continue the whole game, there will always be in the pause menu that R1 that says, hey, hit the R1 to upgrade to the deluxe version. Like, they're always trying to upsell you. Not as egregious as some, I get it. This one's not as bad, but still, honestly, in my opinion, my hot take on this is representative of how good Insomniac is.
Yeah.
Honestly. This is not representative of, now this is the PS3, the PS5 and how great it is. Insomniac can make this run on a PS4. They'll have to edit, they'll have to make some changes, they'll have to do some modifications, but you, the end user, would never notice if they did it. Like, they brought this out because I'm seeing a whole bunch of hot takes. Oh, this is the first game that you can definitely tell won't run on PS4. It won't run on PS4 because they don't want it to run on PS4.
I don't
think
they are so good. On PS4. I think it can run on PC. I think it can run on PC. I'm not on it. It can run on PS4 train.
Dude, have you played what do you call it? Their last game for Xbox. Jesus, I'm losing it. Their Insomniac's last game for Xbox.
Oh, yeah. Sunset Overdrive. Yeah, I love Sunset
Overdrive. The traversal in that game is identical to the traversal here. The speed, it's all there. Yes, more assets are loaded. Yes.
I just want to point out, not as good as Jet Set Radio. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Not as good. True. But you know what? One thing I will give them credit over Jet Set, in that game, I can traverse the entire map without touching the floor. Jet Set, you got to touch the floor sometimes.
Yeah, but guess what?
Once you're good, the way they've set up that map, once you're good at traversal, you can traverse the entire map in Jet Set, in Sunset Overdrive without your foot touching the floor. And that was great.
Guess what? In Jet Set, touching the floor is not so bad because you're on skates.
Sure, because you're on skates, whereas there it slows to a freaking crawl. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is you can see the DNA of Ratchet and Clank in Sunset Overdrive. And will it look and play identically? Hell no, of course not. The hardware is not the same. I get all that. But anyone that plays fully Sunset Overdrive and then looks at Ratchet and Clank and goes, nah, they can't make that run on PS4. I think you're getting fooled by the marketing. They don't want it to run on PS4 because they need to have this is a PS5 game.
Well, okay. I want you before you commit to this treason that you're talking about. I want you to listen to the Digital Foundry interview with the technical head at Insomniac Games.
Okay.
And they can explain some things there.
I'll do that. Because you know what? And I'm sorry, but the reason why I feel this way is because Epic came out and basically full-throated and went, yep, this is the power of the PS5 when they were showing their demo. Only come to find out 5-6 months later, which we all knew.
But people ran with that because they showed it running on a PS5.
But so did the actual people at Unreal.
They were just talking about the fact that it had an SSD and something with an SSD can do this. I do not blame, and they just got $250 million from Sony at that time. So Sony approved Fortnite to be cross-platform.
I'm just saying business is business, and just like business justifies lies. I don't know how else people call it. Marketing. No, lies, man. Lies. So again, I love Ratchet and Clank with a capital L. I will play that game over, and then I'll go back into every world and I'll collect all the collectibles because I like it that much. But when I see this game, and you know, I will preface this by saying I'm a guy that I will call myself an Insomniac stan. I have a lot of Insomniac games on a lot of platforms. As people, like even the PlayStation folks who are so big on how great Insomniac are, they haven't played all the Insomniac games that are on Oculus, for instance. There are a bunch of Insomniac games specifically for Quest. I know how great they are. And I'm telling you, what you're seeing with Ratchet and Clank is not, it is them taking the hardware, right? It's them taking the hardware and then showing folks how good they are.
Oh, we got Scrub Nurse in the chat. What's happening? All right, so
yes, that's my hot take, but we're continuing.
Right.
So a few of them have passed.
Yes.
Now we're back at the good show, the good stuff. Yes. This is not representative of the. No, it's not.
Are you sure?
I'm sorry. No, it's not. The internet never forgets. It could be, but it's not.
All right.
Come on.
Why does everyone believe that Hellblade was not a CG trailer, but everything else is? I never understood that. To me, if you don't believe any of this, you shouldn't believe Hellblade.
So, okay, the reason why
but before you finish that thought, I hate that so many Xbox fans point to Hellblade as any indicator of what the Series X is going to do, because that was CG.
Exactly.
We have not seen what it is going to look like. And they even at this show, they came up and talked about location scouting. They didn't even show environment art in engine, right?
Exactly.
That's things they could have done. So I don't want to hear Hellblade as any reference to graphics until Microsoft is comfortable enough to show it to us. Because there's a reason they're not showing it to us is because it doesn't look like what they showed us in 2019.
See, and what you just described right there, your argument right there, that is my number one reason for getting rid of CG trailers. Because you set yourself up, and now you can't show nobody nothing because we all know when you show it to us, we're gonna be like, come on, man.
Listen. I'm only gonna follow J-Dub on the day. if it don't look the way it's supposed to look, and I'm rooting for it, but I think it will. But man, it's gonna be rough.
It will look somewhat like this, but to tell me that it will be
I'm not even talking about this. I think that it could look like this with everything we're seeing in Unreal Engine 5, with everything they're doing in all these other engines. I absolutely think it could look like this.
I think so as well.
And I think of all the studios they have, Obsidian might be the best one. And I think Obsidian may be their ace in the hole, their Insomniac level developer, right? So I have full faith in this. And when he pulled out the sword, you can't tell me with ray tracing and the textures that we have after looking at Resident Evil 8, you can't tell me a game can't look like that. I'm just saying.
But see, all your representatives, right? All your representatives that you're using for your argument, which is a very good argument, they showed, and that proved. These dudes just keep showing CGs and
the game's not ready yet.
So then shut the heck up until it is. Stop setting a standard you haven't shown us.
People were clamoring last year. Show us the future roadmap. You don't have any games in whatever. You bought the studios in 2018. What are we going to see? So they had to show you CG trailers. I'm not mad at last year's show.
I hear you. See, and the games like this, I think this is a very interesting game. Maybe should not have been on the main stage of the because like this process, I've actually seen like some documentaries on how this process is done. It is the least game of games that you have. This is basically like what Netflix would do. Like it's an interactive movie, if you will. And even the characters that you see there, all that is like real visuals that have been like, that have been.
You know what I would like to see? I would like to see a straight up interactive experience, not really a game, but with the full AAA production value. So it's like a CG movie that you're kind of controlling in the way you would control a Telltale game.
You mean like the Final Fantasy remake, 7 remake?
No, because but that's still a game.
Oh, you want a movie? Well, okay. If it's a movie. And you
I'm not talking about a movie. I'm saying a Telltale kind of game. You remember the Telltale games?
Of course. This is basically like that. What we're looking at.
Yes, but I want it with a AAA budget, AAA production value. There are some
studios that do that with real hardcore, but it's a walking simulator, but a very, very, very beautiful looking one. David Cage. All of David Cage's games are that AAA. Telltale games. Hold on. Let me pull it up real quick. Let me pull up some names.
Because the Telltale Game of Thrones game was amazing. Obviously, the Walking Dead stuff was great. Some people didn't like the Batman stuff as much.
I haven't played it. I actually got it for free. I need to play that. David Cage games. Detroit Become Human. Heavy Rain. Beyond Two Souls. Tell me you've played any of those.
Heavy Rain, I played for a little bit. I did not play Beyond Two Souls.
Detroit Become Human is clunky, but it's good. It's clunky, but it's good. Like it tackles some very interesting subject matter. Graphically, it is. You want AAA looking Telltale game? Detroit Become Human. That is AAA walking sim. Decisions matter. You have gameplay elements, but they're light. You know what I mean? Just like Telltale tends to be. The focus is more on, the decisions you have to make in the stories that you're telling. So I would say that definitely give Detroit Become Human a shot. And actually, if you're gonna give Detroit Become Human a shot, do it on PC because now they released that on PC, and of course, all games play best on PC these days. So you might get it on PS Plus. I don't know if it's on PS Plus, but it's also on PC. So there you go.
Okay. All right. What is this? I don't remember this from last year. What am I looking at? Oh, okay. Okay, I got you. Yep. By the way, you want a hot take?
Please.
I think this game will have a chance at Game of the Year.
You think Psychonauts 2 will have a chance at Game of the Year?
Or at least the nomination, because they always nominate a weird, quirky sort of indie style game. I know this is not indie because it's like connected to Microsoft. Well, it started off as indie. I'm saying what they're doing with it and what it seems like to take. And if you've played the original, it's a very original premise, right? I think this could be huge. And a lot of people laughed at me when I said what has a greater chance at Game of the Year, this or Ratchet. I don't know.
I'm a couple of hours into Ratchet, and Ratchet from a gameplay perspective is very samey, right? They're very crafty and good at letting the story and the atmosphere like overshadow all of that. So it's fun. It'll keep you going through the whole way. And just when you get bored with one of the mechanics, they throw a different one at you. You're running, you're racing, you're doing this, you're doing that. So I hear that. I do agree with you that as far as the gameplay ideas and the crazy ideas,
and the story they're telling,
and the story they're telling, yes, this has a lot more real complex things to think about. I remember like one of the first levels of the first game, you go inside the psyche of your teacher, and he's like an ex-military dude. The whole place is like a complete war zone, and there's like a bag that's crying. Don't look at my baggage. I think this is going to be
real out there, and it's going to be multi-layered storytelling.
They're using cutesy things to really emphasize some very complex human internal. It's very interesting.
And I get the whole Xbox, PlayStation, or glitz and glamour of Ratchet, but listen, Ratchet's at an 89 on a Metacritic, right? Mm-hmm. This doesn't look like something that could score in the 90s if they lock down the gameplay.
But okay, you're using Metacritic. Okay.
No, I'm not using Metacritic. I'm not saying Metacritic. I'm just saying when they're deciding what is going to be in Game of the Year as a nominee, Metacritic is part of it, of what they think, right?
What I think is what Scrub Nurse just said. It looks good, and it has the PlayStation name behind it. Honestly, in a vacuum,
but this game will also be on PlayStation, right?
Yes, it will, but it's got the Microsoft stank all over it. Remember, it won't get a PS5 version. It'll only get a PS4 version. Xbox gets the latest and greatest. I am telling you, I hope I am wrong, but where that bias leaning happened,
I know. I just think this is going to be such a unique experience that it will be undeniable, especially if they.
I hope you're right.
If they lock the gameplay down, I'm telling you, it could score in the 90s. And if you're telling me,
remember, Chris Rock had this joke that he lived in the place he lives. He lives next to Jay-Z and Beyonce, and then a white dentist, not like the best dentist in the world, just a dentist. That's what Microsoft has. If they want to get on that main stage, their game must be the best game, undeniable game. PlayStation, it's a game. That's where and that's what Scrub Nurse is saying. Right. It's got that PS next to it. It is more likely
Psychonauts 2 is going to be more than just a game. That's what I'm saying.
Look at Scrub.
I think maybe it will, but I'm telling you, I think in turn. Listen, I'm guessing right now.
And our audience is against you because here you go. Another comment that I completely agree with you. Yes,
that's true.
And it was a travesty. Travesty of epic proportions that Ori did not even get a nomination.
Ori should have been on there more than Doom should have been on there, probably.
Yeah.
But I think that I'm just Metacritic prediction right now for Psychonauts.
Yep.
91.
Well, but okay.
Right.
See, and when you said Metacritic, that's why I said you're talking about Metacritic. If you now look today, right? At the soft response that Microsoft has had, all their soft games, like obviously you have PlayStation hitting banger after banger after banger, as they say, whereas Xbox has one here, one there, dribs and drabs. If you compare metas, they are more competitive than people let on. But it doesn't matter because people keep shitting on it. Still, if you check, there are many where their metas hold up, even sometimes beat the PlayStation competitor. But still, it doesn't matter because the PlayStation competitor gets woohoo. There was I love Ghost of Tsushima. I think that game is amazing. If you haven't played it, you need to immediately. It is the best samurai to ninja simulator ever, right?
Yeah.
There are a bunch of Xbox games that beat it. A bunch when you talk about Metacritic. But rightly so, Ghost of Tsushima has been in Game of the Year conversations left and right. Those other Xbox games never even make the convo. So all those things kind of lend to that idea. You know what I mean? If Metacritic was the definitive source to say, okay, this is how we define it, great. But Meta is not, because every time you go and you check what happens, where it matters, they could be, but they're not. they get a little hosed.
Right. My only point is, I think that it stands a chance to get nominated, and once you're nominated, it's fair game for anybody.
I hope it gets nominated, and if it does get nominated, I suspect the only reason, well, I wouldn't say the only reason, if this counteracts that narrative that myself and Scrub and a few of us are thinking, it'll be because this game started off as a multi-plat. And this didn't start and end in Microsoft stable. So maybe that's why, because Ori started and ended in Microsoft stable, and that game was a masterpiece and got nothing for it.
Right. But maybe they'll review it on the PlayStation, right? But the point is, I think that if it gets a higher meta, and I do not doubt that it's going to be more obviously psychedelic, but it may offer more things than people have seen before. And I think it will have a more, like we said, complex story. So all those things going in its favor, if they can nail down the gameplay loop, watch out for this one this year. But that's it. We could come back to this.
I feel you, man. I am hoping that we come back to this and I go, Everborn, man, you were right. I'm happy to be wrong, because I want this. I want the games to represent the games. Hey, this was great, so we're going to give it respect. Hey, this was awesome. It deserves to be seen by all, so we're going to do that. But time and time again, from what I can tell, the reason it gets nominated or gets the attention the attention has very little to do with the actual game itself. There's so much else in that vacuum that speaks louder than the actual quality of the game. That's been the historical information up until now, so we shall see.
So now, by the way, production value of this show, very good. Do you think it looks the same, or they do something different in terms of production value for this year?
Honestly, I hope production value stays high, but less people. I love Sarah Bond. I think Sarah Bond is great. We don't need to see Sarah Bond on camera. I want it beat, and the reason why is not because I think the show is bad or it's slow or pacing or whatever, but if we had a separate Microsoft show and then a Bethesda show, that's different. But we have 90 minutes of both, so it's got to be jam-packed and cut all the cruft, and this is cruft.
Do we? So speaking of cruft, do we have time for third-party games? How much time do we have for that?
Oh, I think we'll have time for third-party games, but they'll have to be Battlefield level third-party games. You won't see that. Tell me why. I don't think you'll see that 12 minutes unless it's a very special, like Tunic special levels of games, games that are in the zeitgeist and folks are really anticipating it. I think, I wouldn't say I think this is what they will do. I think this is what they should do, being that they're now so able to release news. I mean, look what happened yesterday and the day before. They're just news after news after news. They're giving us E3 levels of news without E3. So if that's the world we live in, which is a great world, then you can actually, take the smaller titles and stuff and put them on the smaller stage, and just keep hitting us with those big dogs on the stage. Especially considering the fact that we have another conference worth of companies now all crammed together, right? Like if this was a normal
wait. Now look at Scrub Nurse's comment, because like he just stole that idea out of my head. That's exactly what I want.
I don't want to see Matt Booty. Yep, on stage, 15 minutes.
No. Well, you also need the Todd Howard, right?
Yes. Well, the Todd Howard will be specifically for the Starfield reveal. I see.
No. But there's going to be a lot of Bethesda stuff to show, or unless Bethesda only is working on. That's the other thing. I don't think they're going to show Tokyo Ghostwire or Deathloop. And if Bethesda is not showing those, what are they going to show besides Starfield that warrants it being called an Xbox Bethesda show?
Here's a little slip in of hot take. If they do, they'll do it under the auspices of, and it's on Game Pass PC. Like they found a loophole. That's the only way I can see them do that, because we already know what they are. We've already seen CG trailers. We've already seen some gameplay trailers. If they do Ghostwire and Deathloop on the Microsoft show, that means, and it's coming to Game Pass PC.
What if they just say, they show it, they don't mention PlayStation, and they just say Xbox 2023, right?
That would be. I honestly think Aaron Greenberg and Phil Spencer and them, like they weren't as with it as they are now. I'm starting to see that they see these Twitter streets. They know what that would do, and I have a feeling they're going to avoid that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I honestly feel like the only time they'll show something like that is when they win. If they're winning, then they'll show something like that. If they're not winning, then I don't know.
Yeah, but if you're calling it this Xbox Bethesda show, it has to be a healthy amount of Bethesda
Xbox
stuff.
And Bethesda, yes,
right.
Yes,
you're going to show me 10
you keep
Xbox
saying,
games.
What will they show? Each of their developers have multiple teams.
Okay,
right?
wait. Okay, yes.
So Arcane, 2 teams. What's the team that makes Wolfenstein?
That's Machine Games, right?
2 teams.
Maybe they show Indiana Jones.
So no, I doubt that. Indiana Jones is too fresh. I would love to be surprised, but I doubt that. What I'm saying is all those Deathwire and Ghostloop can still be in the works while the other team shows you what's next. And that's what we might see tomorrow.
Speaking of, so what's on screen? What do you think about Stalker 2? Do we see it?
Do
we see it in action? Absolutely not.
Stalker was a game of its time. I don't know why they chose to bring Stalker back, because there are too many games of its kind at this point. It's like, it's like bringing Tomb Raider back once Uncharted and the rest of them have had their way. It will get a bad comparison. I hope they have something new to show. I
don't know. I think Tomb Raider the whole Tomb Raider new trilogy came back and held its own.
Yes, but it didn't reclaim its crown that Uncharted stole. Uncharted still owns Tomb Raider's crown, because Tomb Raider started it first and then stepped away, and then Uncharted stole that crown. Yes, the remake of Tomb Raider was good,
and that's why Indiana Jones comes back and takes it from all of them.
But you see what I'm saying? So I'm hoping that Microsoft has a vision here that we don't see, because if it's just a Stalker, just like you remember it, but Stalker 2, it's like a clone of Call of Duty. It's like, and I think Stalker added a bit of like supernatural elements, ghosts and stuff in there. I'm looking forward to it. I want to see them do something new here, but it's not like, Stalker 2 is going to be like the second coming. It's like Stalker 2 is like making another Crysis. Yeah, great, but there are a million Crysis clones out there right now, doing it better than Crysis did. So I hope they're innovating. I don't know if they are, but I just hope they are.
Okay.
What
is
world premiere?
Console. This is probably Crossfire X
launch exclusive. Yeah. See, and here we go. I want to see what Crossfire X.
Like, oh no, this is. I think this is Warhammer 40K.
Okay. That you're right. That Warhammer, I don't give their IPs that much time. I know they have a huge IP and there are folks who are all about it. I've actually played a Darktide, the co-op one that was on Game Pass. It is better than it has any right to be. Have you played that game?
Nope.
It is crazy fun. Like, you don't have to worry about the lore because it's all convoluted, whatever. It is what it is. But the moment to moment where you got the ghouls and the goblins and the rats and the stuff, and they're coming at you, and there's one here, and it is like buttloads of fun, as they say.
One other thing
I will also preface, it's another one of those unpausable things, So right. I can only go so far.
One other thing that Scrub Nurse just said: different genres pull in different players. If that is the case, why has Microsoft only seemed to have focused on first-person games with their acquisitions?
Hold on. I will push back on that a little bit.
Please do.
Yes, it's true that they've only.
Please disabuse me of this notion, because
just because they came in the door with what they do doesn't mean they will continue to do what they do. Just like Playground. Play 10. Is it Play?
Turn 10. Turn 10.
I'm sorry. The Fable developer. It is now, because they have this bucket, this Scrooge McDuck levels of money. They don't have to keep their eye on the sky and go, people want this kind of game. Even though that's what they've done up until now. Historical information that brought them into the tent won't necessarily speak to what they do moving forward. Right? Because I suspect, much like coming to a job interview with a bachelor's degree, they just want to see that you're capable. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be required to do what you've been doing
of finishing something.
Yes, you're capable of finishing something at a high level AAA clip, and all of them can. Doesn't mean you're stuck in first person forever. Doesn't mean you'll be stuck with Unreal forever or whatever. Compulsion. I hear they're going completely out of their norm. You know what I mean? They came, they had an idea, they were a little bit out the mouth and going a little crazy, and they needed to be tested. And supposedly Phil loved what he saw from them, and now they're growing beyond their station. Okay, that's what these are for.
All right.
So I don't think now the first cycles maybe, but the second and third cycles, I don't think you will see these studios that we all know and go, that's their games. I have a feeling they will surprise, because now they have the opportunity to be more experimental. They don't have to make the next Wolfenstein with twins because they got to make money. Well, shout out to Archie.
We still need that Wolfenstein 3 though. Like let's be clear.
Yes.
Steam, yes. Okay, so now this is another one that I'm very excited about, and I hope we see more of this at the show.
They got to show me this tomorrow. I'm so excited for this game. I'm so excited. I love this team.
Now, what? I need release dates on all these things, but
hey, look at this first showing. What did they show? Gameplay. First showing. Gameplay.
Yeah, and some CG this is a year ago.
Yes, first showing year ago. Gameplay. So it's not to say it's impossible. It's not a gameplay. Hello, even the Ascent. What did they do? Gameplay. Their first showing was gameplay. In addition to all the other, world building.
But that's the other thing that I think is going to be important about tomorrow. The difference between this year and last year is like, hey, remember the Gunk? Remember the Ascent? Remember Halo? Remember Flight Sim? You're going to be able to begin playing those starting next week. And
Flight Sim is very close, like days close.
I want to talk. Yeah, Flight Sim is next week along with Tunic, which is crazy.
And possibly, well, not full Tunic. It's Tunic demo, but still Tunic.
Good enough.
And I played the demo. Anyone in earshot of my voice, not the same demo, because they've had this same demo, and supposedly the next demo is going to be different. Play that game. That game is so special. Oh wow, I was so giddy. I played that demo like 3-4 times. It's amazing. So yes, if Tunic isn't on your radar, put it on your radar. That game will be like a gem that nobody saw coming. Well, a lot of people see it coming, but still.
now, can we talk about acquisitions for a little bit?
Sure. You want to pause? Let's pause. Let's talk acquisition.
Now, there's all this acquisition talk for next week, right?
Oh boy,
it's getting kind of out of hand.
Normally it's like from who cares? Yeah, don't buy this, but the creme de la creme, the tip of the spear.
No, but that's the problem.
The trusted of trusted names are all coming out full throated. Like, I'm just like,
and what are the odds there? What are the odds they're all going to be wrong, right? Like the whole 26 is the new 23, right? And nobody, like normally Aaron Greenberg will come out and say, hey, everybody, temper your expectations. This is not about business plans. That's what he did last year. Now, radio silence.
Well, but that's the thing.
They're not shutting that down, and they usually shut stuff down when it's time. And they just had Satya out there on Thursday, because that's another thing I want to actually spend some time on. And I don't know if we should do it after this or before. But the point is, they did a huge news dump on Thursday. And what does that tell you about what they have planned for Sunday? Saying we're going to
trying to get all that crap out the way now. Let's just get it out the way. Let's just, because we about to bombard you with boom, boom. We're about to just blow your mind.
But now, in terms of acquisitions, I think the reason they're talking about it is because if you pay attention to Bloomberg or CNBC or whoever, Fox Business, whoever you pay attention to, a big fear right now is one, inflation, right? And the other thing is corporate tax rate hikes, right?
And they got this money that they've allocated, and next year's coming, and they got to get rid of it. Otherwise, it's gonna be a hot potato.
So you either burn the money in the garbage. I'm not saying it's like burning the money, like it'll go towards like
basically
social
giving it to
things like
giving
that.
It to the government.
But I'm saying, as far as the company is concerned, you either burn that money either things costing more because of inflation, or you're going to have to give it to an administration who is likely going to raise the corporate tax rate.
So quick,
you spend it on a studio now, even though it's a buyer's market or a seller's market. You spend that money now so you don't pay it in taxes later, or it just doesn't cost you more to have it later. So that is why they're on that spree. Now, that being said, we're at a show that is called the Xbox and Bethesda show. Doesn't that get outshined if they say, by the way, here are these 5 other studios?
I honestly thought that initially. That's why I thought there would be no acquisition talk. But this isn't Bethesda level acquisition. I mean, if they were buying Ubisoft, okay, because that's Bethesda level acquisition. This may be onesie studio here, onesie studio there, to get added to one of their existing publishing arms.
NetherRealm.
Exactly, bro. Exactly.
No, but NetherRealm is a big deal that I think would overshadow at least the news day of Bethesda.
No, I don't think, as much of a Mortal Kombat stan as I am, and I think we've already established I'm a Mortal Kombat stan from way back, I don't think Mortal Kombat overshadows the people that make Elder Scrolls or Starfield or anything.
They don't have Elder Scrolls to show right now.
No, I get that, but when you're talking acquisition talk, it's not about the games you're showing; it's about the studios and their capabilities. And from on an even keel, I think NetherRealm is over here. They do great work, but the fighting genre has kind of stagnated and become its own thing. Besides Tekken, besides Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, those are the only ones that hit the mainstream usually. The rest kind of don't.
Now,
so I don't think that they are at the same level.
Scrub Nurse just made a point that I made on Twitter, I think a couple of days ago. Again, Scrub Nurse, you in my head, man. I don't know what's going on.
Bro.
You know what? Scrub Nurse is a psychonaut. I figured it out. So it doesn't get outshined if they announce that the studio's going under Bethesda umbrella.
Because it's not a publisher level announcement. It is a studio here and there, and Booty is already at 15 studios. So where would it probably go? It would probably go under Bethesda.
And the theater, if the theater of it is, if it's a Xbox Bethesda showcase, guess what? We believe in Bethesda so much that we are expanding, and we've bought these studios for Bethesda to run, and we're going to run it side by side, holding hands.
Let's add another one to that mix. There's NetherRealm. Now, let's be clear here. No one has had any piece of actual factual piece of documentation to back it up.
I want to point out, I do not believe NetherRealm is one of the studios.
We'll see. We've heard this from Jeff Grubb. We've heard this from Jez Corden to me, and we've heard this from Randall Thor 19. To me, those three, if they're wrong, it's because something changed or something on the ground changed.
Or just
usually when they speak on it, they're right.
Yet. Or the
or it didn't close yet. Yes, there are logistics there. What I'm saying is they would not be, those three specific names are not deceptive on purpose. So if they're saying these names, it's out there and they're catching it.
But you know who hasn't said these names? And this is who I always look to. And Jez is great. If he says something, you could take it to the bank, and he hasn't said anything. But well, he hasn't heard. No, that's not what I'm saying. He hasn't said that like it's happening, and he said that he won't say because he doesn't have documents.
Because he doesn't have any paper proof. Yes.
But you know who, like, if they say it, you can take it to the bank, whether it happens today or tomorrow. Brad Sams. And Brad Sams has not said anything, but it could be that he was so close that they kind of
also
sheltered Brad Sams.
Brad Sams is not like
he's a Microsoft guy.
He's a hardware guy more than the software stuff. So like so if it's a hardware level thing, like for instance, he's already out there talking about a streaming stick. It may not even be a stick, because what he had heard was a stick way back in the day. That thing was discontinued, so it may very well be a low-level streaming device.
Yeah, Brad Sams.
It's not an actual stick.
Brad Sams was one of the first. Listen, that's another thing I want to talk to you about. That news on Thursday is so crazy. I don't think people understand. Like, that was a meteor that hit, and then the ice age is coming, and a lot of dinosaurs don't even realize it yet, right? Like,
and by the way, quick, Scrub, you're absolutely right. Crowbill, another one. If he speaks on it, it may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but it's going to happen, because that man has a track record, very much so. And all of them have said similar things. I'm sorry, continue. I didn't mean to.
No, but Calabria also said, right, that I'm quoting him right now. He said this on the Reset Era forums or something like that. I love the energy right now. I love the energy here right now, and I don't want to be a party pooper, but I still have to do it. Xbox will add more studios. That's obvious. It's part of the strategy. 2, the upcoming show is called Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase and exists to make people understand Bethesda is now Xbox. This is the main intention of the show. 3, while I wouldn't say that there will be no additional studios 100% at the show, please keep number 2 in mind. This show will not be 2018 reloaded in terms of new studios. Talking to all these studios always takes time and rarely lines up with shows.
Yeah, so that is most definitely true. This is not going to be a studio acquisition bonanza that we've gotten before. Hell no. If it is, it will be onesie, twosie, a small little conversation.
My point is,
in addition to everything else.
If it is NetherRealm and Crytek, right?
I don't believe Crytek as much.
Hold on. If it's NetherRealm and Crytek and IO Interactive and I can't remember Avalanche and Techland, that's better than 2018. So like it can't be true.
No, it's not. Okay. It's not better than 2018 because look, all of those studios you've put together combined aren't worth the money that they paid for Bethesda.
Yeah, but that's not 20. I'm saying 2018 is not Bethesda. 2018 is Obsidian, Compulsion Games, In Exile, all those things.
Okay, sure. But that was like that. How many studios did they add that time? Like they added almost double digits in one show. That's not going to be this. You know what I'm saying? And speaking from a monetary perspective, it's this name, that name, this name, that name. How much did PlayStation buy Insomniac for? $200 million something dollars? Like
288.
Exactly. It's the price of an expensive game they paid for the entire studio. Okay, so if we're talking names, people will go, "Oh, we don't want to go overboard." But look at NetherRealm, notwithstanding, NetherRealm has an owner, a boss that is very cash strapped. Very, very, very cash strapped. So there is a chance that something's going on there.
And the fact that the new Mortal Kombat movie didn't do well at the box office
Didn't do well, so
that
they're
makes
not
it better for negotiation.
That's right. Techland has been in issue with that game forever. There's rumors that Microsoft stepped in to help them finish the production of it. There's been back and forth as to whether that's true or not. But one thing is true is that game has not been smooth sailing all this time. It found its way back, but at some point, folks were convinced the thing was canceled, right? All that. If you pile all these potential studios together, they're still not worth that much money in the grand scheme of Microsoft's reach. So is it possible? You know, all I will say is this. Remember, I was the guy that was saying, and I said this on Boom Show a couple weeks ago, they have two ways they can go. They can either come out and be like, look, this is the new Xbox. We come and blow out the frame. This is where we are. This is us, right? You know, all you people thought this. Now we're going to show you something else. We're here to change your mind. Or they can go, look, COVID was a thing. We're being conservative. We don't need you to buy our plastic in order to succeed. So we're not going to play that game with you. In other words, we'll show you what's available because those that know us know that next month and the month after and the year after, there'll be more available. So we'll be more full-throated when they get close. Those are the two places they could go. Now, they have, and this is, I've repeated this, they have been able to clutch defeat from the jaws of victory many times. So people are always ready to watch them fail.
Yeah,
Then
but I also feel like they've been getting better every time.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. It looked like they finally started learning their lesson. The one example being the Perfect Dark reveal. They came out the mouth before the Perfect Dark reveal. Specifically, Aaron Greenberg came out the mouth. Temper your expectations, folks. This is not going to be what you expect. Yeah, like people were expecting, Hellblade levels of announcements. I was watching it. And he said, this is not a Hellblade level announcement. Temper your expectation. Only to then drop Perfect Dark on people's heads, arguably even better.
But I'll take it a step further than that. I'll take it to a step further. The Bethesda Xbox sit down was an amazing presentation. It had everybody hyped. They hit all the key notes. So if that is where they're going, then I think we're in very good shape, right?
And I think to add to that, I think Bethesda's marketing team is far more aggressive than Xbox's marketing team. And as they integrate and they're learning from each other, this is not going to be to my understanding, as the sit down pretty much illustrated, this is not, you're part of Microsoft now, so it's time for you to learn. Even Microsoft came out full-throated saying we're learning from them. And I think marketing and the message delivery and the game of E3 is something that Bethesda plays far better than Microsoft in the history.
One last point I want to make about acquisitions is that this is just a word to sort of Xbox. What is this? The medium still?
Yes, it is. This is the medium.
Okay. Right. So this word to my fellow Xbox brethren. Even if you do not get any studio acquisitions announcements,
doesn't mean it won't happen tomorrow.
No. But forget it. Even if it doesn't happen tomorrow, 23 is a lot. 23 is enough. 35 teams are there. What our focus now should be is, hey, what will be the output of these studios, and are they properly managed? And I do believe
# where the game's at, son.
Really, like run those games, right?
Where the game's at, son.
Right. So because listen, if they're going with the creator-led approach, meaning make what you want, we'll provide the resources, all you have to do is ship, right? And if you look at the fact that just look at the state of the first 6 months of the Xbox and the first party output, the fact that there isn't much in the way of first party output, or if at all, tells you that they're giving the studios as much time as they need, and they're not just saying, get it out the door. So will there be a tight rein, not on time, because it seems like they don't want to push people for crunch, and not on just output for the sake of output. Well, they do want output for the sake of output, but will there be quality control? And we don't know that.
That's the question. See,
and
so my understanding,
just throwing money at a problem And just buying studios alone is not enough to guarantee that you will get the output what you want. So that's what should be more important to us than them adding another studio to the stable, because we haven't seen that play out yet. You haven't gotten a AAA exclusive yet. Not saying it won't come, but you haven't gotten that. To my
understanding, though, they are a few steps ahead of you. They have kind of turned the Coalition into that ninja team that Sony has. The Coalition has been found to be helping all these other teams far more as far as, getting them to a certain quality level. I don't know how far the QA has expanded, but like there's been a lot of reporting that, this team, Coalition's helping them. That team, it's like they have become, obviously they are the Unreal Masters in that studio, in that organization. And it seems like they are leveraged across multiple studios. How that will turn out, I mean, the Coalition is literally the backbone of Halo Infinite right now.
Right.
And they have nothing to do with it, but they are the backbone. Yes, they are. There's a lot. There's a lot
just because you sent a couple of people over there to do some environment and help you with lighting. I don't know if that means you're the backbone.
A year ago, this thing was going to get released. Listen up. A year ago, this thing was going to get released, and then it didn't. And then they got rid of head of studios. They brought a new guy in, and then somehow, some way, all of a sudden,
Returnal vibes from that clip right there. By the way, I don't know why.
Well, anyway. Probably because the way he's traversing. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, we start hearing reports left and right of all the various, not specifically Halo only, all the various different projects that the Coalition has a hand in. They're trying to send that narrative. I honestly think that, for better or worse, MS is now starting to listen and pay attention to the Twitter streets, as it were. And when these noises start bubbling up, they start dropping little hints here and there to kind of quell it. And that's why those news stories are coming.
They've always been listening. I just think that
haven't taken action.
No, it's not that they haven't taken action. What people want takes time, and when we only live in a "what have you done for me lately" world, and people only think from moment to moment. So if you say Xbox needs, you know what I mean, these AAA bangers that all of them that you're pointing to, that you're saying Xbox doesn't have, had 4 to 7 year development cycles.
Yep.
Guess what? They bought these studios and are giving them time so that they can make those things. They're doing it because they didn't spend the money to throw it in the toilet.
Yep.
So why and people said they weren't happy with what they saw with Halo in this show that we're looking at. This looks amazing, by the way.
Yeah, it looks
people said they weren't happy with it. So guess what? They delayed it a year so they can make you happy with it. But 343 has never let you down in terms of graphics.
No.
So why do we think that now, like the inmates from the Coalition are just coming in there running the asylum, right? Like 343. I'm not saying they're not taking help. It's all hands on deck. But
when you hear the 343 did that, when you hear Coalition did that, it's not necessarily technical only. Yes, they are the technical masters there. There's no denying it. But they shipped a game. They've shipped multiple games for Microsoft. So it stands to reason maybe that level of polish that's necessary is where they're going for tutelage, where they're going for assistance. We don't know how far reaching this is, but it stands to reason. Like, if you look at Microsoft stable without all the new additions, you have the Coalition and you have the Forza team. They are the veterans in that environment. All the other ones, some of them had prior contracts. They're still working out. Others are growing. They were young studios that are now being allowed to flourish. The one team the two teams, the multiple teams that are in Microsoft's like wheelhouse that seem to really have it together is the Forza teams, combining of Motorsport and Horizon, and the Gears teams. Those have been the tried and
World's
true.
End. They've been doing fine.
Yeah, but but World's End is on an island because RTSs don't matter to most people.
Sure, but I'm just saying,
dial by the numbers. RTSs don't matter to most people.
What studios have not been delivering? Let's rephrase it that way.
What do you mean by have not been delivered? Meaning they released the game, but it was crappy, or they haven't released the game yet?
Either, right? Because we're saying their studios, like what I'm saying is 343 up until that Halo reveal has been known for high quality productions, right? You don't have to have liked the story of Halo 5 or the multiplayer of Halo 4. It is inarguable that they were high quality products.
Yeah.
You can say they didn't hit the mark at one aspect or another. Big production value, high quality, AAA, even quadruple A, you can call them.
Which ones would be quadruple?
Halo games in general. I'm just talking about Halo. That I'm not saying they hit the mark. I'm saying in terms of budget, production value, what they offer.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Right. So again, that is that. Right now. So and they've been looked at like that. Now the coalition has not had the same budget as 343, but they've been solidly delivering what was expected. Right. Playground games, same thing with Turn 10, right? Mm-hmm. So who else now?
Well, okay, so I'm scrolling through
who has not been
what is considered the list of Xbox Game Studios video games. I'm looking at it. Did you know that Microsoft released a game on the TRS-80 in 1979 called Microsoft Adventures?
There you go. They should bring that back.
1979.
They should bring it back with like Hellblade level graphics, right?
Yeah, re-release the whole IP.
Yeah, no. Think about it. It'll be like Flight Sim. It'll just come in. It'll break everybody's machine because Flight Sim is the new Crisis. So my point is, it's been a bit dirty until recent years, and by been a bit dirty, I will explain. So, like, if you look at, I'm just looking up real quick, Xbox Game Studios games, right? It's a little murky because until recent years where they decided to get their own studios and keep it in-house and all that, it's kind of like Netflix. It was a Netflix movie, but if you look around, you'll see that it was made by ABC or it was made by, you know what I'm saying? So that's the point I'm coming to. The Microsoft-owned studios have historically, for the most part, put out 80 plus games, right? When they farmed it out to other people, Metascore games. When they farmed it out to other people, that's what you saw a difference. You saw that whole 60 whatever, except for Sea of Thieves. But I think Sea of Thieves, if it came out today, it would score in the 80s.
Yeah, Sea of Thieves should have not been released until this year.
Right. So
it was done, you know.
So that being said, there is quality control there. They just it is too few.
Yeah,
too
they have not released broken games. They have not released broken. Have they? Which game did they release that was broken?
I mean, Sea of Thieves was kind of broken, right?
No, Sea of Thieves just didn't have that much content. That's different.
Okay.
You didn't fall through the world. There was just not that much to do in it. I would say that.
Let me put it to you in a different way.
The game we were just talking about, the one with the CG trailer, that was broken at first.
State of Decay.
But was broke. But State of Decay is kind of half in, half out because it wasn't really a Microsoft studio. They eventually became one.
Let me restate that point. Think the Halo games that we've gotten from 343. Think what the Coalition has done with Gears. Think what Turn 10 has done with Horizon. Think what Playground has done with Forza, or is that the other way around? Maybe that's the right way.
I interchange them myself all the time.
Right. So my point is, if you think of all of that, what they needed is more of it, and not to rely on third-party developers to make their IPs.
Oh, bro,
it is not
when it comes to that.
I'm saying
I am 100% behind you. 100%.
If they released the quality of games of Halo 5. And I know a lot of people didn't like the story, but I'm just saying, if you got more games of that quality, I don't think anybody would be mad.
Yep.
Halo 5, Gears 4 and 5, Forza and Forza Horizon.
Yep.
If they tripled the output, but with that quality, I don't think we would be having the same conversation we have today. And now they have the studios, so I think they will be quality controlled. And I think we'll start seeing a lot more games in the 80s and one or two like big standout titles in the 90s. That's my point.
I hope you're right. You're absolutely right, because when you look like if you were to do a quick search, just as I did here, but on the PlayStation side, it's a far more straightforward thing, because they've had what they've had for as long as they've had them. So you can see them. Okay, they have one, then they release it, and then another one releases it. It's a well-oiled machine at this point. The Xbox side, because they relied so heavily on the third parties for so long, it's very sparse, very dribs and drabs here and there, dribs and drabs. And speaking to that third party dependency, that is 100. If I have one problem, with Phil Spencer's decision making, it's that he decided that it was okay to have Plan A be Halo Infinite and Plan B be all third party.
Yes,
that was egregious in my.
After you saw how relying on third party has worked out for you the entire generation,
you don't rely on
do
third party.
Like
you don't rely on third party after they've already shitted on you in the past. Excuse my French. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they did. It's exact. Look, we had this conversation outside the podcast. This is what Microsoft does, and it drives me nuts. They want to show you their amazing wares. Wonderful. But then they rely on partners to show it in its
but
best
that's
light,
in the DNA of their company, right? Like they make Windows and they rely on other people to make the software on Windows. I used to work
for Hewlett Packard. Like the first, I walked into a Best Buy one day, and I'm looking at a machine. They're like, "You have an HP card? You work for?" I'm like, "Why the hell would you buy an HP laptop with Windows on it? It is the worst representation of Windows." And then eventually, Microsoft caught wind of that and went, "Surface. This is the bare minimum. Partners, you can make it better, but you can't make it worse. This is our bare minimum." Halo Infinite should have been the bare minimum. And I get COVID was a thing. And now, of course, we hear that even beyond COVID, 343 was in turmoil a bit. Managers, executives, there should have been a Plan B first party, because leaving it to Yakuza Like a Dragon with the Dragon engine, yeah, that's the reason why people go, "You lied about how powerful the Series X is," because that engine is not meant to show off the best of your console. That's not what they're there for. They're there to sell their game and round the corners and make it as playable to everyone as possible. So yours will not look as good.
I think DX12 Ultimate is the dark horse in all of this, because if what I'm thinking, and this is another beautiful thing about any acquisitions, like if they do get Crytek, then they'll get CryEngine. I think the best parts of those will get integrated into DX12, and they'll be kind of this sort of unified development platform.
Your description alone tells me why I get so angry, right? Your description alone, they are the creators of DirectX Ultimate. They create DirectX Ultimate, which is basically the backbone of modern gaming. Like, they create it. They work with all the chip manufacturers to get all of the APIs working and everything else, but they create it. So how is it that you create the hardware, which is supposed to be the best? You create the software, the lanes in which people travel. The tools. You create them all, but somehow you're late to your own party? What the capital F? What's wrong with you? That's ridiculous.
But here's the problem.
Who created the damn tools, man?
Here's the problem, right? Us being three-dimensional beings, we can only live in the present.
Ratchet and Clank real quick, just
right?
Footage. Let's continue.
Hey, nice. So us being three-dimensional beings, we cannot traverse through the fourth dimension that is time. So we always live in the present, right? So right now, those games aren't here and they weren't ready. Will them being ready matter or not 2 years from now, when all these games have had their 4 and 5 year development cycles and they're hitting you with every quarter a AAA game?
Yeah. So
it won't matter then. You won't be thinking about
now you're using my argument against me. That's the reason why I thought they would be conservative at E3, because the E3 game only matters to the plastic sellers, and they are no longer in that game. So they don't need to be flash and bang and hide things from you because they need you to buy the plastic. They don't need to go only exclusive on Xbox. Look at this amazing thing. And then later go, yeah, it's on the 360 as well. They don't need that game. That's Sony's game. So because they know they are now the well-oiled machine that they are, even if they lose E3, that means nothing to them, because the huge market, the market in Korea that's going to be all on xCloud, the market in India that just got turned on, the market in China that they just released, they won't care what happened at E3. They won't care any about this. All they care is when I sign into my subscription service, is there a new game today? Is there a new game next week? Is there a game I want to play the week after? All that is what will matter. And that's the reason why I was like, I think Microsoft is going to go conservative. That added to COVID, that's why I thought they were going to be conservative.
You know why they're not?
And then all of a sudden the conversation started to change and they went, yeah, we might not be conservative this time.
But you know why they're not going to be conservative? Because the name of the game is not consoles, but it is Game Pass. Yes. Right? And what they need people to come out of this show saying, holy hell, what am I going to do if I'm not on Game Pass? Right?
That's what they need. Yep.
So when you see that, and I want to read something from, I'm sure you're familiar with the Melissa Game Pass announcement or person.
Yeah, right? Of course.
So this is like an email that Melissa Game Pass sent out. Mm-hmm. Hey team, the Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase is coming up. Be sure to let our fans know because they won't want to miss the upcoming announcements tomorrow. That being said, leaking details of said announcement is not advised, especially the one about how we're adding redacted. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right?
They love to twist that knife. I love it. It's hilarious.
Right? And they did this before MLB. They did it before Outriders.
They do it all the time.
So
I hear an anomaly in the distance.
Right?
Stuff like
so that's the thing why I think they're going to be aggressive in what they're showing and the deals that they have. Right? So for me, mm-hmm. I cannot tell you how excited I am because, and this is the other thing I wanted to ask you. I remember now that announcement, the news dump on Thursday with the streaming stick or the streaming device
of some kind. Give me.
I'm arguing.
Switch Xbox.
No. Maybe Switch Xbox, sure.
Yes, but I'm saying
that. Or what if it's just a stick? Maybe it's multiple devices, right? Because they said that.
It could be. Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
Now, what if does that constitute a console sale? If it has to be fully online,
and I hear
it's like a little Apple TV. And I know
hear folks having that conversation already, but I honestly think that conversation has already stopped mattering to them since they stopped having that console sales conversation. It's about engagement. Are you a user? Are you signed into our platform? Are you playing games? And by that metric. Monthly? That's right. And by that metric, any piece of crap you use is a sale. Like you, Mr. Everborn Saga, who still has not put the Game Pass app on your Oculus Quest 2 yet. If you do that, and you
is that officially an app though, or is that
it is an app? Yes, it's
no. I mean, is it an official app or is it a sideload app?
Bruh, it's an official app. You just have to sideload it. It's an official app. The app is the app.
But it's
Oculus
not.
Quest. Let me school you real quick. Okay. Oculus Quest.
It's not in the Oculus store.
It's a phone on your face. Okay. Oculus Quest is a phone on your face, just like Nintendo Switch is an Android device that they're hiding features from. And how can I tell you that? Because on the Oculus Quest, when I break their little gated walls, the software works without any kind of hardware or modification. It runs the core OS. They're just using it for their purposes, and they don't want to give it to you like a standard Android device, right? So you can't find it in their store. But if you install it from your own device in there, it is like it is native, 100%. Okay, just like what I was just saying on the other devices as well. Because that they are built that way. Switch, there's an old version of a Switch. I have two Switches here. The oldest version of the Switch had a vulnerability in the chipset, and because of that, you could jailbreak it and then run Android on it. And that's not like, oh, I'm brain transplanting running Android on it. Those devices are themselves run Android natively. It's just Oculus and whoever else is using these devices don't want to just let Android run free on that device, because that's not what they're using it for. They lock it down for their purposes. And the normal end user, the normal customer, goes, okay, well, that's an Oculus, right? And those of us that know better, like the homie a couple months ago that put like the Game Pass app on his Samsung fridge, know that it's basically just a Samsung fridge with an Android tablet on the screen. That's all it is. So you load your app, and Bob's your uncle. If you want to wait until they let you run the app, yeah, sure, you do that. That's the Apple world. They haven't given to me, so it doesn't exist. Yeah, okay. But it's an Android iOS. That's all it is. It's an Android device. If it wasn't meant to run it that way, when you install it, then you have to modify the code. You have no code modifications. It sees everything. It sees your controller. It's ready to go.
I hear you. But anyway,
I'm sorry. This is the tech guy speaking.
The point is, yes. I don't want to get, because this will turn into a VR. We'll talk about that offline. Now, so I think, yes, that is monthly active users, specifically Game Pass subscribers.
They don't care about the hardware that gets you in the door, as long as you get in the door.
I think there's something bigger at play here, right?
Okay,
you saw that they talked about the xCloud app on consoles. Why do you think that is?
Oh, because they're trying to leverage what their competitors can't do, and they see that's the key here. Yep.
Now, if the xCloud app is on consoles, right?
Yep.
You now, and they're talking about try games before you buy them, right? What that means is you'll be able to play games in xCloud that are not a part of Game Pass.
That's right.
Which means you're a full-fledged cloud. Cloud is the first-class citizen at that point, because you don't have to subscribe to the service to use it.
I see where you're going.
If you are,
there's a caveat.
Hang on a second. If you are saying that I can buy a game and exclusively play it in the cloud, so anything in the Xbox ecosystem, whether it is Game Pass or not, I can play it on this. Then that streaming stick or little puck device or Switch device
becomes full console.
Exactly. Yes. Right.
But
and at that point,
there's still a caveat there, though.
Go ahead.
Because what they described, and we have to wait for them to describe it even better. But what they've described so far is try before you buy. Right. And back in the 360 days, there was a demo mandate back then. Right, where every game had to have a demo. It didn't last long because developers kept complaining. Demos aren't just a piece of our game; it's a separate game that's a shorter version. It costs too much time and effort to do. Why are we being forced to do this? Some people want to do it, some people don't. Why are we being forced to do it? This is how Microsoft gets around that. Doesn't mean though that they've solved the whole every game can now be in the cloud and be playable from the cloud thing. They're just talking demos. If they limit it that way, they can make every single game on the Xbox store demo, meaning you get 30 minutes or something, some arbitrary number, 30 minutes, and then it locks you out, right? Does not mean, now I hope it means that they've cracked the nuts.
I read that
but
as
it doesn't
an avenue
mean
to say, that means you've gotten the license to allow every game that is on the store to be played in the cloud, whether it's a half hour or not.
But see, there's a difference. There's a difference.
But hang on.
If they all agree to demos, if the publishers agree to demos, because this would then mean they get demos without any work. Microsoft will put a timer up. The game starts as it would start, and then it kills it.
You still signed it. You still let Microsoft put the tip in, as it were. But now it's a party. They
don't care whether Microsoft puts the tip in or not. They care whether or not there's continued payment there. That's the reason why when NVIDIA Shield started their little service, it was great one day, and then the next day people went, hey, all our games are being played on cloud without us getting paid, so screw that, and they canceled it. That's why they called their balls and went home.
That's very different than I think what
Microsoft would have to go to all these publishers and go, listen, we are not, yes, it's true, this whole Game Pass play in the cloud agreement is separate. It will continue to be separate. But what we're asking here is, this is just a demo on all games, and it's 30 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is. After that, it's locked in. And when it's locked in, you're not, the person can no longer reissue it. But then we can talk about whether this game is Game Pass worthy, cloud worthy or not. I don't disagree with you that it is along the path of one day no longer having a console, and literally anything that's available in the store becomes accessible to you through the cloud.
It's just based on your account, and I think that
all that technical stuff is possible today.
Yes,
it's just the business side that they don't want to let that
right.
happen.
But what I'm saying is the business case for people not allowing that Epic. Who made that service again? The one that they shut down.
NVIDIA. They didn't shut down the service. They just took away all the games.
Right. But the business case is different because of the way sort of PC works. You could get a game from anywhere and technically have it saying that you own that game, right? They were taking your library.
So what they did was, their loophole there was, we're going to let you sign into Steam, right? In our data center, in our cloud. So when you sign in, it's basically a PC in our data center, but with a Steam account, just like Microsoft, has your username and your password, and then all the
what I'm saying
is
transfer. Steam didn't do that, right?
What do you mean Steam didn't?
That wasn't Valve didn't do that, right? Who made that service?
They're saying you mean the Shield? Yes. Steam agreed to it because but
that's very
what they didn't do is, because later on, then all the lawyers started going, look, you can Steam, the seller of the store can agree to all of that, but you have to go to Nike. You have to go, if you want them to sell individually in your store, you must go to those individual publishers as well. And they didn't do that. And that's why
I think being the platform and store holder doing it, because a lot of these publishers is like, we made a deal with Steam. We didn't make a deal with you. NVIDIA. Yes. This is different. You made a deal with Microsoft. So I think it is very possible
that I don't disagree with you that they have a lot more leverage in this conversation than NVIDIA did. I completely agree with you. All I'm saying, though, is just because they allow the demo play of non-Game Pass games in the cloud doesn't magically automatically mean that now that issue is completely resolved. It doesn't mean that, because it could just be, okay, well, here's our agreement. It's a 30-minute demo on all games. It could be that.
My money is that is not the case. Right.
I want you to be right. Let's keep it moving. I want you to be right. Yes. Because if we live in that world,
we need a term for needs. Right?
We need a term for needs, he says.
Somebody's gonna lose knees on this one.
This is not a situation where I am like full-throated, like saying you're wrong. I'm saying I hope you're right. That's what I'm saying.
I think that. But anyway, my point is that
I've just been too much around lawyering talk to go, yeah, you said A, but you leave room for loophole. So I'm kind of waiting,
That is industry shattering if that is the case.
True.
Right? And
that is
again,
on live.
Yeah, but officially supported by a major platform holder saying this is it. You can buy this thing and you're only online. And we're not even talking about how you can get people into PC gaming that have like Chromebooks, right? Mm-hmm. Like you don't need a big gaming PC to do this anymore. You can do it in the browser. You can do it on an app from your TV. You can have a dedicated streaming box, or you can have the dedicated hardware or dedicated PC. Mm-hmm. That is crazy. And that's the next mark, because if you want to hit 3 billion gamers, you're not hitting 3 billion gamers with a subscription service that's $15 a month. You hit 3 billion gamers by saying, hey, here is a thing that you can use. It's all in the cloud and you buy the games you want. That's how you hit 3 billion gamers.
If they resolve that issue where the non-Game Pass games now can also be accessible through the cloud, I can see if you're right, I can see a world where a new tier of the subscription shows up where that becomes the only way you interface. One subscription and it's just the streaming stick and you can just do that. But if that is the case, here's my question. Why are folks so stunned by yesterday's news? I have been super excited by this exact idea since the early days of xCloud, like in 2020 when they first showed it off and they were talking about all this. Yes, they've said this with their mouths on paper before. Why are people acting like this is the first time?
Yes, but now they're saying it to Bloomberg and Wall Street Journal and their investors, and
because it wasn't a rumor before. This has all been out before.
It's all been out. If you are paying attention to
the very last E3, the very official E3, where Phil Spencer was on stage, he was having an interview with Charlie, one of the spokes females from the Xbox UK team, and he said this exact thing. Oh, let's just get it started right now. I can see a world in which you can older systems can benefit from being able to play these new games by just loading up the app. Oh, I can see you trying games just by loading up. He said all of this in 2019. Khalif Adams, basically on his show, said they went to a closed door meeting with Xbox in 2018 where Phil Spencer said all of this to them. He's already this is out there. But why are folks just mind blown today?
Because it's closer to reality now.
Okay.
Do you understand what is going to happen when the browser, iPhone version of this is out of public beta, out of private beta, and it's into the public?
It's going to be pandemonium is what's going to happen.
Say what you want about the iPhone ecosystem, but that's where the money is there, right? You have the bodies in Android. But people, I guess fools part with their money very easily. And I say that as a fool with an iPhone, right? But people just spend more money on the iPhone. And
in America.
Yes. But
only
that's enough people there to get you to those 30 and 50 million subs.
Yes. I will say, for the record, we are on the internet, and the internet never forgets. I am both an iPhone and an Android user. I'm an iPhone user under duress. It's the only way my company will give me emails.
So it's that iMessage. Hey, Scrubner said something to your point.
What's he say? Let's see. The biggest story about Xbox aren't always written by people who understand the industry. Yep, that's why that talk this week is so big, especially big. Yeah, true, very true. Usually, the folks that are talking about Xbox tend to be PlayStation stands. Well, not stands, but most people who get into gaming, who are gaming related journalists, tend to be, oh, I love that PlayStation. So even when they're talking about Xbox, it's not exactly understanding of what they're really talking about. There are a few out there who get it, but they may not have the voices loud. They may not have the reach to really explain this as well. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because all this stuff is not rocket science. This stuff has been exciting to me for years now. All that potential that will come to fruition. And this year, COVID notwithstanding, was supposed to be the year when they blew the doors off of all of that. So the fact that they're still doing it, even in the COVID world and all of that, is commendable. So we shall see. Tomorrow should be a thing. Now, we're doing a barn burner of an episode here. We're not gonna you and I are not gonna repeat the timing of the what do you call it, the ILP podcast. We're just not gonna go that far. Their 5-hour epic is gonna stay there. We're around about 2 hours right now, but there's still more to discuss. So before we start wrapping things up, let's quickly hit those spots as well. So in addition to what we discussed right now, there's some few others within the E3 conversation that still needs to be had. Have you seen, and I know you have you seen those screenshots of the Halo Infinite, the Halo movie, TV show that may be shown off at E3?
Can you bring it up on the screen? Do you know?
Yes, if you give me a quick moment.
Yeah, so while you're bringing it up, I think they look terrible.
You think they look terrible?
I don't like it. I think it looks like CG from Halo 4. It does not look like a live action show, and I hope that that's not what they're going for with this show. I hated it.
I mean, if you look at the leaked screenshots, I'm still looking for them.
Are there any?
They look like they're literally like taken from a screen with a hand camera, like somebody's cell phone took a shot of a screen, just like they did when Elden Ring was leaked way back in the day. Like Elden Ring, the trailer.
Do we get to talk about the Elden Ring reveal?
I mean, we can talk about the Elden Ring reveal. I am not a From person. I'm not big into the From situation. So, you know, I may not be as giddy as a schoolgirl as many are. I always thought that the whole idea of Elden Ring was going to be cool, but people were taking it into the stratosphere, which I thought was a little bit, hyperbolic, but, now we see it. But weeks ago, we saw it again. We saw it before with a leaked trailer. Some of the shots were there, and it looked terrible because, again, it was a recording from somebody's screen, that somebody had recorded with their cell phone. Don't let the what you've seen here be, automatically, oh yeah, it's going to be terrible because it looks that way. It might surprise you, just like folks are now pretty damn happy with Sekiro. Well, see, there you go. My Freudian slip is showing. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, because that's what it reminded me of when I saw it. Even the blood, everything else looked exactly like it. So
I did not know what to expect when watching this. Right. So for me, let me put it up. All right. Yeah. Well, okay. We'll come back to that argument. All right. Let's get a full screen here. Can we? Is that possible?
I don't know. Let me see.
I don't know. Yes, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. There we go. Halo.
Okay. Yeah. That looks like the Halo 4 character model.
No, but look at it. It is blurry as F. It is like taken from a taken. It's not what you're supposed to see.
I'm looking at the polygons.
That's my point. You're not supposed to see polygons.
This can't be live action. I'm sorry, it can't be. I don't believe this. I don't think this is real. That does not No, that's not a live action thing.
So this is what I think we should do. I think we should see this right here. That's where it is, right? We see this, we see that, we see this. Here's me. I'm going to like it so I remember it. And then you and I, on a future episode, will come back, possibly on the Really Real Talk, because it will be a TV show topic, I suspect. You and I will come back and we will analyze the post after we've seen this thing, the video, and then you can tell me if you were right or wrong. Because I honestly think it's just because of the medium in which it was shown, somebody's hand cam, like shaky cam BS. It's not being shown in its best light. Pump your brakes. That's my opinion. What's yours?
I, as a matter of fact, signed up for Paramount Plus, where this is going to be, so that I can watch Infinite this week, and it was terrible. So hopefully this show won't be terrible.
What do you mean it was terrible? What was terrible? Infinite,
the Mark Wahlberg movie.
Oh, and it's terrible?
Horrible.
Really? Oh boy, we'll have a conversation about that.
Oh, yes, we will.
Jeebus. All right. I saw a few of the things. I was like, hey, this looks interesting.
All right.
Okay. Yes.
Now, this is the thing. I hope that's not real. I hope that, because again, you cannot make a show that is starring the Master Chief and he's not wearing a mask, and that does not, and there's nothing there that blends. He's wearing a mask. Sorry, that's what I meant to say.
Oh, so what you're saying is you can't make a show about the Master Chief and then keep him mask on. He has to be masked.
I'm not going to care about him. I mean, I know they did it with
the Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian, but unless there's a baby alien to get you emotionally attached to, it's not going to work as a narrative exercise. I'm sorry.
It worked. It worked when it was just the Chief and Cortana. Even back in the days where the games weren't the most cinematic experiences and all of that. The writing,
for the time.
Exactly my point. The writing uplifted that medium so much so that people were like, to this day, that's the reason why people hate the Halo 5 story. That's the reason, because the original Bungie story, even with all of its clunkiness in cinematics, really established them. I don't think, and I hear you, and your opinion is valid, but my opinion on the matter is it's about the skills of those. If you do that Cortana Master Chief relationship correctly, a voice, not a face, but a voice,
I don't.
and Cortana.
I don't
I
think
think
that
it could still work
translates
well.
to live action media. That's my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well. We shall see.
Now, and so for Elden Ring, I'm gonna play it, but I don't know why I thought it was gonna be something that would lean more towards RPGs. So
I wonder why you thought that. It's a From game. Like they always
I know,
make the same thing.
but George R. Martin.
It's just a story. It doesn't mean
I don't know. I thought it was gonna be. Well, we'll see how story driven it is.
Well, they all tend to be similarly story driven. They've up until now, From has gotten criticism that their stories tend to be very obtuse, very hard to get into. Those who are able to crack the nut are very happy with it, but anybody that enters it, you don't know where your save states are. They don't explain anything, right? They make it hard, gameplay and actual story content. That's been a criticism of theirs for years. So hopefully this George R. R. Martin situation kind of counteracts that narrative.
Oh, you think a George R. R. Martin story is going to be less convoluted?
Well, no, I mean, it may. Okay. His convolution is by design, but it is appropriate sometimes.
You know what's impossible
Whereas From
to
just
do?
seems to be just weird.
You know what's impossible to do?
What?
Pick up a George R. R. Martin book, put it down. Put it down and then come back to it and think you're going to know who everyone is. And without the TV show as a visual aid, those books are impossible to read. I don't know if you ever tried to read them before.
I read them. I read them all after I watched the movie. After I watched the show, I read them all.
But try it without the visual aids.
Here's to your point. Here's to your point. I was able to read all the books, but in addition to reading all the books, he has outlines of a lot of things. So my reading of the books ended up being reading of twice as much material, because there's a book that defines the world. There's a book that defines the history. There's a book that defines the characters, right? And all of them are basically visual aids to then they're basically content aids to then let you understand the main story better.
If you look behind me, I have World of Ice and Fire right back there. It's the last one on the end. Yep. And anyway, I recommend that book. It's like, you remember one of those old Bibles that had pictures in it way back? It's like that. But anyway, back to E3 tomorrow. I need your predictions now. We talked about ridiculous predictions. You thought I forgot. We talked about egg on the face. Lay them out. What are we going to see?
I think we see Kojima tomorrow.
Okay.
Just like we saw him yesterday. I think we see him tomorrow. And I think we see a trailer for whatever crazy thing he has to offer. I don't know where it'll be. I don't know. I'm not saying it'll be at the beginning. I'm not saying it'll be at the end. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying we see Kojima tomorrow. Like out of left field.
Okay. That's your biggest thing. That's your biggest.
That's not my biggest thing. That's one of my things.
Go ahead.
What do you think?
I don't think we see Kojima tomorrow.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And I think that you want like the hottest of hot takes, right?
Oh, I have a very you got, man. If you got the hottest of hot, give it to me.
All right. So I actually okay. I think we see what IO Interactive is working on. And I think you
mean the Dragon game?
Yes.
The Dragon project?
Yes.
Even though the same people who leaked that Dragon project also leaked that it's super, because they started the 007. It's super early in development.
CG.
To the point where
it's going to be CG.
Okay. Well,
right. That's going to be mixed with gameplay, but I think it's going to be CG, and I think we're going to get we're going to know we're either going to get a project whatever, or they're going to give us the actual name of it. Now, I also think in terms of acquisitions, my hot take is that there won't be any tomorrow. That's my hot take.
I say at least one.
No, I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm just saying at tomorrow's show,
Yeah, me too.
I don't think they're going to announce.
That's where you and I differ.
acquisition.
I think since there's so much smoke, there's got to be some level of fire. I don't know about all 4 or whatever craziness.
We might
hear
about it.
There will be
next week.
Some at E3. There will be
some
level, even if it's a AA small. Hey, we got this IP and this new studio to work on it. There will be some level of acquisition.
Okay,
you know?
Now
I think so. So that's where our differences are. Continue.
All right. Yes, but you understand why it's a hot take because everybody thinks there's going to be an acquisition.
Oh, everybody thinks it's going to be multiples and it's going to be crazy. Yes, I get that.
And I think even if there's only one, there's no chance that it's NetherRealm. I put no stock in the NetherRealm.
I can go there with you, but that's only because of logistics. Only because of logistics. They are a publicly traded company. There's a lot to be talked about.
Hold on. They're not a publicly traded company because they're not buying Warner Brothers. This is one company selling an asset to another one. So it could happen.
No, but hold on. Warner Brothers is owned by AT&T, which then gets transitioned to like the Discovery, whatever. But they're all publicly traded, so they cannot do secret deals.
Let me explain something to you though. I know for a fact that I will not say which, but I know for a fact that WB Games, not all of the studios there were included in that transfer, which is not complete yet.
Yes, no, I know that.
Right?
I know that
they were not included, right?
They're letting some
so
slide.
That being said, this is not a matter of acquiring an entire company. This is just one. This is a B2B transaction.
I know that.
Where I am just buying one thing from you. I don't need SEC approval for that.
But still, because it's publicly traded, all of the transactional processes must be disclosed. The SEC has a certain limit. You're right, but you can't do secret deals with if you're publicly traded. Well, no, not if you are publicly traded, but you can't do secret deals with publicly traded companies.
Okay,
like
you know what?
Like Bethesda could have been done completely because they are not publicly traded.
Yeah, right? But that's not what this is. Do you think that Sony needed SEC approval to announce that they've signed a deal with Microsoft to use Azure? That's exactly. Why?
No,
I'm buying
because
something
they're not paying. Look, they're buying services. They're not buying assets. They are buying services. They're not buying Azure servers. They're buying a subscription model.
Right.
That's what they're buying.
So now you're saying they're buying something.
I'm taking a piece. Like for instance, when Nokia was bought, right? Even though not all of Nokia was bought, only the cell phone division was bought because the original parts of Nokia still existed. They had to come out and say so.
But that's a whole business. That's not just like one.
Yes, I get
IP
that.
thing,
and because of that, I hear you on the fact that it does not need SEC approval. You're right about that. But what I'm saying is, even though it doesn't require SEC approval, and maybe we can like look into it and get some better data. But I'm pretty sure that even if it doesn't require SEC approval, the fact that assets that belong to publicly traded company is being sold from said publicly traded company, it must be disclosed to shareholders.
Yeah.
Not the whole pie. Even if it's a small piece of said pie, it does change the value of this company and must be publicly disclosed. And it's the idea that it's a public company.
is a way to publicly disclose that.
No, I think that would be disclosed beforehand, but we shall see. Maybe some
and it could be disclosed in some random thing that doesn't look like anything to me and you, John Q. Public, right? Yeah. It could be. There's many ways that you can disclose things and then have the official public announcement later on. Like we've bought some assets from a company. We've bought some IPs. That's all you have to say. You don't have to say what IP. You don't have to say who you got it from. Right.
Shareholders have to get informed. Yeah. But it can be announced after it happens. So technically it could be announced tomorrow and then filing. Okay. So there you go. There is the idea that if it's publicly traded, it has to at least be sold. It has to at least be disclosed, but it does not have to be disclosed necessarily before it happens. Now, I know if it's a huge acquisition, then there's a lot of legwork beforehand, and it does have to be. This is not that.
So does selling off an individual IP count as selling off a portion of the company? Would that still fall under that?
Yes, because the value of said IP is also calculated into the value of the company as a whole. So if you're selling it, then how much are you getting for it? How much does it make the company worth now? That's where the as a shareholder of some of these companies, that's what I would like to know. Like, you're selling this, how much is the company worth now? All that. I hear you, and you have a very valid point. They're not buying a large portion of the company that would require FCC filing, and there's like billions of dollars that are changing hands. I get all that. So because of that, the rules may be different. But as I've known it, anytime a publicly traded company is releasing or removing pieces of their own assets for one purpose or another for being sold, it must be disclosed. Now, the logistics of when that's disclosed and all that, Scrub may be right. It could be disclosed after it's already been.
I don't even want to spend more time on this because I don't think it's going to happen anyway.
Sure,
I'm just saying it could.
yes, and I'm saying that NetherRealm, I honestly think timing may be a thing, because NetherRealm was a thing. It was definitely 100% a thing. All of WB was a thing, right? And it was very public. Very, very, very public, right? And when it changed, you heard about it because everybody kept reporting it. It's still very quiet when it comes to specifically to NetherRealm. So I'm there with you. It might not necessarily be, that might not be it. But there are some that would be. No. I am still in the camp that where there's smoke, there's at least some fire.
All right.
I would not be surprised to see at least one acquisition.
So I need a prediction of who?
Of who?
Yes. Doesn't have to be one that's been mentioned in the rumor mill.
Oh, I actually think that it would probably be one that's mentioned in the rumor mill.
Okay, who? Which one? Which one is the most likely? Let's put it that way.
So, okay. Whenever folks have that conversation, like let me say this before I answer your question, okay? Folks always say, "Well, this makes sense for Microsoft," or "This makes sense." Well, they have a relationship with this, or they have that. To me, that always is absolute BS, because the technical hardware. There's a technical hardware, and then there's the software that goes on top, right? Then there's the messaging that makes everything seem unique. Like, anybody can buy anything and make it work as long as you can sell the nice message. The people are making it sound like there's no universe in which Insomniac could have been acquired by Microsoft because they just don't have that relationship. Money talks, BS. They totally could have done it. The idea that, it doesn't make sense because they don't have a prior relationship like that. Money talks. If Microsoft is walking around Big D style, come and look, you like your stuff, here's the big old bag.
I don't know that I agree with that argument.
Here's my example of that. Notch notoriously hated Microsoft. It is well documented. Hated. He thought they were a conglomerate, like they're there to ruin the gaming business. They're, the quintessential idea of the corporate overlord. But when money spoke, Minecraft was out. He left. Now the rumor. Now here comes Rumorville. Rumorville speaks to the fact that he did put stipulations that still keep it multiplat, and that's why it's still multiplat. There's no full, some people, some reputable folks have kind of put lip service to that a little bit. That there's like a multiplat clause in the contract, and that's what made him feel a little bit better about it. But he never, even after he sold it, he never changed his mind about how he felt about the company. It is well documented. So that tells me. Money talks. Please, your rebuttal.
No, the thing about money talking, and I think relationships do matter because there are other people in the market that want to buy these things. And I'm sorry, Sony has tens of billions of dollars in the bank, so they could buy it, or Amazon or anyone else. So my point is, if you have a relationship, if you have a relationship with the company, guess what?
You're closer than the others.
And you will hear about it before everyone else. And if I have my choice of suitors, I am going to choose you and I'm going to not choose you. There's a reason Microsoft did not get Discord.
No, but that's different. Come on. That's not because of the suitor. That's because, and it's already been documented. Even, what was it? Tim Dog even said that not too recently ago. That was so that they could get evaluated higher so that their IPA would be better. It was a ploy the whole time. It had nothing to do with relationships.
That's fine.
To this day,
but why didn't money talk?
Because their money will talk. It doesn't mean that it's over. There could still be an acquisition of of Discord. But since they've been evaluated so high, the next time the money talks, it has to be a lot more money because it's officially been evaluated, which is what Discord wanted.
Microsoft has to say something is worth it, right?
Of course.
So here's the thing. If your value is only based on not what you're worth, it's what you negotiate. Would you agree with that? So again, if it is a buyer's market, I could be WB and I say, you know what? I think NetherRealm and the Mortal Kombat IP is worth $4 billion. Microsoft got money, you can afford it. And then Microsoft is going to say, or Amy Hood, the chief financial officer, is going to say, no, the F you're not worth that much. I'm not signing that check. I hear
all that. But let me give you one quick question.
So it has to be worth it for Microsoft.
I hear you. But what you're saying there doesn't change my thoughts on it. Insomniac. Let's say nice round number, 250 million, 300 million. Okay, that's how much PlayStation bought them for. Okay, it was 2 and change. Let's say nice round, 300 million. Okay, let's say that situation replays itself. Here we are, but instead of it just kind of happening in the middle of the night, which is basically kind of how it happened. Let's say Microsoft, because at that time Microsoft was not as aggressive as they are now, right? Let's say they are as aggressive as they are now. And instead of a Sony just coming out and buying them, right? They go, okay, well, 300 million. And then Microsoft says, oh, you have that? Yes, Insomniac has made a bunch of Ratchet and Clank games. Insomniac has a long relationship with PlayStation. None of that I disagree with. What if PlayStation, $300 million, Microsoft goes, oh, well, we really want them, $1 billion. You think they go, sorry, we'll go back to PlayStation?
Yes.
You think so?
Well, no. I'm saying Microsoft would not pay $1 billion because they're not going to tell.
I'm talking about. No. See, that's a different conversation that does not enter here. Yes, it's true that they will evaluate. Yes, it's true that they must determine what they think is righteous to pay for it. I get all that. I'm talking about the idea of relationships, and that's more important than the money. If Microsoft determined that Insomniac is worth $1 billion, and they said, look, we hear you. It's been evaluated for 300 million. We think you're worth $1 billion. We are willing to pay $1 billion for you. You think they'll go, nah, we'll stay with PlayStation because we have a relationship? Fuck that.
No,
that's
bullshit. But I'm saying that is a sort of straw man argument. That is what I'm saying. In that, if in a real world scenario, whoever at Sony,
you know that ZeniMax was not worth what they paid for, right? They paid extra to pay off debt and all this stuff. It was worth way less than what they paid for, but they wanted to make sure they had it, aggressive.
I am sure it was, but guess what? The person with the relationship knows that said studio is for sale before everyone else. The person with the relationship is playing golf and making the deal and signing a binding contract before Microsoft even wakes up in the morning.
I hear you on that. And
so the relationship matters. That's my
none of that is wrong. I hear you 100%. I won't say that the relationship is useless. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is, simply put, if it was, here we are, we're sitting in front of a table, the round table, we're talking numbers, PlayStation wants to pay this much, Xbox wants to pay that much. If that's where we are, then the relationship doesn't matter as much.
But now
it's the resources that matters more.
But now you've set up you set those constraints up that are not necessarily based in the real world.
Relationships don't start. Okay, this is a hypothetical conversation.
Yes, sure. All right. But anyway,
needless to say, so to answer your question directly, I think what fits best with Microsoft, and I'm not speaking on relationships, I'm speaking more on what they're looking for. They want Game Pass. They want Game Pass capable titles that can be iterated on, like a team that can iterate quickly, that keeps at a fast clip. They don't want one game every 5 years.
I don't know. I'm not really getting a fast clip from the studios they have now, but we'll see how that turns out.
You're missing one. IO Interactive. They reply on a fast clip. They are able to turn them Hitman games around quickly, and it's always high quality, even though it's like 2.5 years, whereas most of them are like 4 or 5 years. IO Interactive is very quick, and they're also they're also willing to do that, what do you call it? Games as episodes thing, because that's what they did in Hitman 1 and a little bit of 2. If we are talking about that stuff. Of all the studios that's available, Crytek has great technology. It takes them forever to make a game.
But we'll get Rise.
They want Rise. Sure, there is Rise. I understand that. IO Interactive, I would say the Hitman IP is more useful than Rise Son of Rome because it's a more tried and true. It is more tried and true. It is. It is
Did you see the ending of Rise? That's like entering into God of War territory.
But you're comparing IO Interactive, a team that has knocked it out of the park multiple times in quick succession. It doesn't release buggy. It releases fast. They did it even by themselves. When Square Enix dropped them, they were like, yeah, get out of here and take your IP with you. They released it by themselves, and it was successful as hell. That is perfect for Microsoft.
Do you have the quote about the kind of studios they said they're looking for?
Oh, yeah, I saw that quote.
That quote is very interesting to me because I think it could tell us something about tomorrow or acquisition soon.
I don't have that quote. If you can find it for me.
All right. Well, I'll talk about it a little bit while I look for it. Now, it seemed like they were saying one who have proven track records or who are like struggling with resources or something like that. And to me, that says
Interactive as well.
I was going to say that says Techland.
No, that says IO Interactive as well, because they almost did not make Hitman 2. Hitman 2 became a huge hit, which released Hitman 3, because when Hitman 1 didn't make the numbers they wanted, then Square released them, and they negotiated to keep their IP. And the second one had to be released in small episodes, and I think they also did like a Kickstarter or something because they were having hard issues.
So if it was IO Interactive, does Microsoft get Hitman, or is that tied up with Square?
Yes. No. When IO left Square, they gave them a Hitman. So although I know for sure that if you look at some documentation, it still says Square owns the IP, but I'm pretty sure, and I mean, I can look it up, but I'm pretty sure that when IO left Square, that was one of the stipulations. They left Square, and Square they let them keep the Hitman IP. So whoever gets IO at some point will also get Hitman, just like NetherRealms comes with Mortal Kombat. Same kind of deal.
Okay.
Honestly, of all of the studios, of all the criteria that I know that Microsoft is looking for, I don't think IO should be bought. I think IO, as they are right now, does great work. I like them independent. But if you're going to buy one, I think IO is a pretty damn good fit, because you want you want teams that can iterate quickly. 2 years, 2.5 years, they got a new one, which is definitely IO, 100%. What's the time difference between Hitman 2 and Hitman 3? It was a quick succession. Now, they reused the engine. They did a bit of cleanup here and there. But still, by and large, no one complains about Hitman 3. People think it's one of the greatest Hitman games ever made. So there you go. You know what I'm saying? And the best thing about it is when they cleaned up the engine, they then brought in the old Hitman games and gave it to you for free with a cleaned up engine. So all of a sudden, all your old games started looking great for no extra charge. Doesn't that sound like somebody you know? Microsoft does that all the time. Again, I don't think they should be bought because their current system seems to work well, but maybe they want to be bought because the resources are definitely a concern as they're now growing and trying to have multiple teams working on the 007 game. And they're talking about this Dragon project. And, they're clearly trying to bite off more than they could chew before. So they need more resources, right? So if MS comes in and goes, look here, man, let's just acquire you. And then you have all the resources. I could see that happening. Would I be like mind blown? Oh my God, this is the greatest thing in the world? Probably not. I don't hate it, but I don't think it's the greatest thing in the world. I think, it's cool. It's fine. Techland as well. If they were to acquire Techland, would I hate it? No. But I see that Techland needed the assistance, right? It took so long for them to actually get to get Dying Light 2 even remotely close to a release window. Now it looks like they're pretty close, right? So I can see that.
That's still going to be multi-plat though, right?
Yes, it is. It's going to be multi-plat. And if they're looking for a team with a proven track record that's able to release games at a fast clip, that's not Techland. because they don't release games at a fast clip like that. They've had one for a long time, and then they have, what was it? Not Dying Light. Is it Dying Light? No, not Dying Light. It was the zombie game where they're on the island. That's another Techland game that basically came out, trailers all over the place. Long story short, they ended up canceling it. So yeah.
Yeah. So let me read you the quote. I got the quote.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, these are quotes from Matt Booty. He says, first and foremost, we're committed to building a diverse collection of studios and delivering a predictable pipeline of quality games. We're committed to creating games that generate excitement, anticipation, and engagement with our fans, and we're doing that in a few ways. First, we continue to invest in the studios behind our tentpole franchises. He said references to Halo from 343, Forza from Turn 10, and Sea of Thieves from Rare. Mm-hmm. So Sea of Thieves is a tentpole franchise now. Oh.
It is a tentpole franchise.
Okay.
I mean, have you seen its numbers on Steam? That thing went from nothing. It went from nothing to being number one for a long time for some reason.
I get it. All right. So second, we are growing our studio's organization through acquisition. We use a filter of people, teams, and ideas to keep us disciplined. People that we have a relationship with, teams who have delivered games through both success and have seen some adversity, and studios that have a proven track record of new ideas. The support that we get from the company has enabled us to acquire smaller studios like Tim Schafer's Double Fine, mid-sized studios like Obsidian's, and of course the industry giants like Bethesda.
But see, everything you said there, everything,
relationships,
they all have some pieces of the puzzle. The one that has all the pieces of the puzzle is IO.
Okay. All right.
They all have some pieces, but not all of them.
Your studio guess
if it happens, it'll be IO Interactive.
And just one.
Because then they also get, because remember, what did Jez Corden say? Jez Corden said they were talking about getting an IP, an acquisition within an IP. It comes with Hitman. And Hitman's not AAA.
And
Hitman is AA, triple kind of muggy middle.
And it will come with that Dragon game.
And that Dragon game was already... That Dragon game, as I understand it, of course, all of it is speculation, right? But as has been reported by Jez and a few others, that Dragon game is a game that Microsoft either went to IO with or IO came to Microsoft with and pitched. Yeah, and they said, okay, you can do it.
But that doesn't mean they owned it. So maybe they own it.
Yeah, it could very well.
That falls under IP.
What? Yes. I'm not sure who pitched what, but yes, if they were to acquire IO, then of course they would own whatever IP that is,
and that
then they would own two,
right?
Because then they would own that Dragon one, and they would also own Hitman.
Okay, so now, who's your runner-up, and then I'm going to ask you the
my
main
runner-up
question.
is not realistic, but I want Crytek. Why? Okay. Because
Rise.
I'm in the school. Rise.
But make it make sense to me. Make it make sense to me.
Okay.
Make the business
I'll make
case
it make sense to you.
Whoa. You're in the office. You're working your position in mergers and acquisitions at Microsoft. Mm-hmm. Now you got to sit down in front of Amy Hood,
make it make
and
sense
you're sitting.
Yes.
And you're in front of Amy Hood and Phil
argument.
Spencer and Satya.
This is my argument. Okay,
it's like Shark Tank now. I just want to set the. I'm setting the scene.
Look at where they are today. Okay, where they used to be, they were a sideshow, if you will. Yes, there was opportunity. Yes, there was potential. They had diehard fans, but they hadn't hit critical mass. Now they're close to critical mass. They're not that sideshow anymore. No, I'm talking Microsoft. I'm talking about Microsoft Game Studios. Okay, they're not a sideshow anymore. They're being looked at. Even those who specifically look at them with critical eyes before anything else are having to reluctantly come to the table and go, they might not be so bad. All that is slowly changing. What has led to that? While new studios are having new ideas, while the competitors are pushing here and pushing there, Microsoft is quietly, well, not so quietly, buying up all the established franchises and all the established studios that still exist, because many of them don't exist anymore. You have your THQ Nordics, which is THQ in name alone, right? You have all these other studios that used to be, when we were young, before we could grow beards, those were our fans, right? Those were our studios that created the games that we loved. Many of those, if not most of those, are gone now, except for the ones that were saved by Microsoft. Double Fine being a very, very good example. Come on, how many RPG studios have they saved? Because that's what they've done. They've saved them, because most of these studios are from the 90s, and if you look at the length, the trajectory of an independent studio, they hit, and then at some point they drop. Where's the Molyneux? Great ideas. You don't see him anywhere anymore, because at some point you can't survive on your own. The gaming landscape has changed. As we stand today, you either have a big backing or you're out the door, or you have Tencent kind of secretly funneling you money. You need a resource pool, right? Crytek is one of the last studios of that day, right? They still have a game that, even though the new school don't see it as valuable as the old school do, the old school remember when, hey, can it run Crysis? Just like us old school remember, everyone of a certain age remembers our first interaction with Wolfenstein, probably at a school computer lab, where it was choppy as hell, but it was the future and you all knew it. And now they own that, just like Doom, just like Fallout, just like Wasteland. They own all of the tried and true classic Obsidian.
Remember
Obsidian
when
games.
You had to get those voodoo cards if you wanted to run Quake? No, but anyway.
But listen to what you just said. When you want to run what?
Quake.
Another thing they own. Like, this is what I'm talking about. This is why, of all of the studios, if we're looking at the old school and going, yo, it's a changing of the guards. Times are changing. People are going to look back and go, remember those days when we had those amazing studios? Right now, the only people that can look back and go, remember those great studios, are Microsoft, because they saved all of those great studios. This is probably the last one they should save. That's why, if they were going to take them, that's why they would take them, because one of the last great IPs in Crysis still exists. It's not what it was, but neither is Fallout 4, which received horrible reception. If Fallout 3 is where we were, they were on high. After New Vegas, they were on high. 4 dropped it. 76 dropped it into the dungeon, right? So is Wolfenstein. The last Wolfenstein they released, Wolfenstein 2, was on high. The side, when they released with the twins, fell into the dungeon. And what did they do? They bought them. All of these studios, if you pay attention, even Double Fine, all the studios are studios that used to be legendary but have fallen on hard times for one reason or another. Maybe their idea didn't hit, maybe they're out of resources, but they're all old, classic studios. Crytek falls within that. They're a new school, young buck in that game, but they fall within that. So if there is a case to be made to buy Crytek, that is why. Because Microsoft is now cultivating, hey, we are the company that has all the studios and all the IPs you remember and love. In the future, all those studios will be gone, right? We have Deviant from the PlayStation. We have all these new things.
Your argument is nostalgia, right?
It's big on nostalgia and quality. It's a nostalgia and quality play.
What are they going to give me in the future?
In the future, they're going to give you.
I think the Hitman IP still has life in it. I don't know about.
Even though they're a shell of their former self, Crytek as a technical house is unparalleled. They're able to make magic where most can't. So just the Crytek engine itself is valuable, right?
Okay.
That's one. It's not the most valuable. It's not why you buy them, but it's a notch. So is Rise. Full of potential. In the beginning, people didn't like it. Oh, 900p, Since that time, it's got a huge following. On PC, it's still played. Okay? So they want the potential to turn that IP into a franchise. Buy the studio that made it. Let them make another one. That's another notch. I'm not saying it's a slam dunk, but there are very righteous reasons that would preclude that they buy them. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Very righteous reasons.
All right. So IO Interactive and
IO Interactive and Crysis. Even though Crytek, yes. Even though I think Crytek is less likely
Okay.
Just as less likely as NetherRealm. I think those are less likely. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But if any of them in the list that we know, I would go for IO. I would think IO is more likely, just in a business sense. You know, not to say that's what I want, but show me the plethora of what you have available to me, and I think that's their first choice.
Okay.
Second choice, Crytek.
Okay. So for me, I think if anybody gets announced tomorrow, it is Techland.
Okay.
I think that Microsoft has been very buddy with them. I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Give me some evidence of that. I have not seen so much evidence of that.
Dying Light 2 was in development hell until Microsoft came along. I heard that was a public statement that was made.
That is true.
So
Dying Light was in hell, but I don't know about them giving Microsoft bailing them out. That has been refuted. Could be yes.
Okay. Who refuted it?
The Dying Light developers themselves have refuted it. Obviously,
I thought they were the ones that said it.
I think I'll look into it right now, but I think they refuted it. But then again, you know, what is it? ZeniMax refuted being purchased until they got purchased. That's neither here nor there.
So I think it's Techland. I think it's another studio. I think it is a studio that needed resources. And if it is true, and you know that remains to be seen, you're going to find that out. But if it is true that Microsoft helped them, finish the game, I think it stands to reason that they would also consider an offer where a small team. Here's an opportunity to grow. Here's an opportunity to make your game. It will still be cross-platform. And then going forward, you will make things and they will go in Game Pass and they'll be available on Xbox and PC. I think a small studio like that would take the money. I think they have an IP that everyone knows about. And 100%. Dying Light 2 is a chance to get this thing into the stratosphere.
Yeah, so Dying Light 2 is basically State of Decay, but a few steps further. Potential. It's far more potential than State of Decay showed, and they bought the developers. So if they do buy Techland, I wouldn't be surprised. And here's my question.
And it will be cheap.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Here's my question. Everyone's talking about all the potential diversity in library, right? That's a big thing that keep talking about, diversity in library. What about TT Games?
TT Games, what do they make? By the way, and thank you, Scrub Nurse. I just want to let's put that up because I want shameless plug. Thank you. I appreciate that. We
appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
We've been trying to get together. We talked about making this show for months before we did it because we always said our conversations are way more interesting offline than the ones we have online. So we tried to. We're trying
to bridge the gap. We're trying to bridge the gap. So TT Games, they make all of the Lego games.
Now, you mean Microsoft as a purchase from WB?
Because people are already talking about NetherRealm. If you're talking about NetherRealm, what about TT? Because they need TT Games.
And there's also a mobile division of TT Games as well.
Exactly. Well, they already have a mobile division under ZeniMax now.
Right. You can have more.
You can have more.
Mobile's big, right? But what I'm saying is, if TT Games is a possibility, then the NetherRealm argument becomes more viable, right? Okay. So this means you were able to close a deal with Warner Brother or AT&T.
Yeah, so if you're able to close a deal with your thoughts is if you're able to close a deal with WB, then you might as well go for what you want to go for, not just them.
Exactly. And
but remember,
TT Games does not come with the Lego license.
No, it does not. No,
because Warner Brothers does not own Lego. They have a license to make the games for that.
Although it stands to reason that since the beginning of Lego games, they have only worked with TT from day one. So it stands to reason that you'll get a sweetheart deal to continue doing that because there have been no other developers that have ever been given a shot, like ever. So, and remember, TT went from, and it was Traveler's Tales before they turned to TT. TT went from the little they barely spoke to now those Lego games being fully voice acted, fledged out. They are like way more than they were when they started, right? So they've been getting more and more elaborate. Like the reason why I bring up TT is because that is one piece of the Microsoft puzzle that's missing. As a guy with young children who game, It is a hard nut to crack finding games for my kids to play inside Game Pass. There's always one or two, but that's about it. Always one or two.
But here's the thing, though. I would argue, even if you don't get the license, couldn't you put TT games on the next Banjo?
You could put TT games on the next, and exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So they can. We know they
is a real play. Then TT should be on the conversation because they definitely need it. But under 16 games,
So for me, I'm looking more at what's attainable. So I say it's Techland and your runner-up, Crytek. I think, and a lot of what. So you're not on the Avalanche train.
I'm cautious about Avalanche. I'm cautious about Avalanche because there is Avalanche has also worked with Bethesda,
right?
So that also lends credence there because the Bethesda worked with Avalanche on Rage 2 and on a few other things, So there is conversation there, so it could happen. It's just Avalanche hasn't been like speaking to those criteria that they're looking for, right? If you speak to that and you think about it, some pieces fit, but not all of them. They don't make quick turnaround games. They don't have that. Like they've done some.
Maybe they don't have the resources to make quick turnaround.
Could be. Maybe Microsoft sees them and says, "Hey, if we give them the right resources, then they could turn it around at a higher clip." I have not seen that till now. I wouldn't be surprised. Like then again, that's the rule of the game here today. We would not be surprised for any of this. Why? Because we're in a new world, my friends. Before a week ago, it seemed like temporary expectations. Then it seems, big S, seems that Microsoft's people went and dropped bugs in people's ear like, hey, stop that madness. Let them get excited. So I don't know what to expect.
Which is beautiful. Now, so for me, I say I agree with you about Crytek, but I say instead of IO Interactive, I say but I don't know if my nostalgia for Rise is clouding my judgment and even thinking Crytek is possible.
Rise is just potential. But Rise is not money.
Logical. I think my money is that if I'm a betting man, I'm betting on Techland. Now, last question that I have for you.
Yep.
Well, I have two more questions. If they acquire anyone, do they get managed by Matt Booty? I don't know if I asked this already, or do they go into Bethesda?
100% Bethesda.
Okay.
100%. Because we know Bethesda as Bethesda the company. Microsoft sees Bethesda as the second arm of their publishing. The first arm is Xbox Game Studio. That is now exhausted at 15 studios.
Right.
The other one has 8. So where do you put it? The one that doesn't have as much.
Right.
Makes
now
sense.
And it shows you're fully into the Bethesda business.
That's right.
Right.
They'll
and
stay around as Bethesda, and they are the publisher. Yes.
And that's why they need one more publisher, which I know that wouldn't be today or tomorrow. And that's and if Matt, okay. Anyway, we'll talk about that at another time, because I also think before we get into any big acquisitions, we really need to focus on content delivery,
cleaning up Matt Booty's organization. Yeah, I agree.
Right. Now, my last question for you is, we've talked first party. We've talked about what they did last year versus what they're going to do this year. We talked about future projects, third party deals. All
right. Well,
do we see Sam Fisher at somewhere in tomorrow's show?
So first off, Boom is like he's just losing his mind right now, because when Netflix announced that Sam Fisher's coming to getting a TV show, did you see that?
Yes.
Netflix announces they're getting a TV show, right? And they're like, oh, they're marketing, and then of course, what does Xbox do? Xbox sends them the three green lights, and Boom is like, see, I told you.
We got Gerald Mack in the building.
There he is. What's going on, Gerald? How you doing?
What's happening, brother? So
no
now
you can catch it on VOD. About third party. Okay, but we will. Let me preface this by saying, just for those who are excited about gaming talk, we are going to cut it short very soon, because Ubisoft Forward starts in like 5-6 minutes. We'll be done very soon. Third party. I think Sega is very vocal, very visual at the Xbox Game Show.
Are you saying Persona 5?
I'm saying Persona 5. I'm saying they are full stop. They are in the Game Pass business now because Game Pass has worked wonders for them. I'm saying that Sega is full-throated in Game Pass, whatever they do. Yes, it's true.
Maybe someday they'll be full-throated in Microsoft.
Yes, it's true that there is that conversation about Sony's throwing their weight around right now, going if you lean too heavily on our competition, it may not work out so well for you on our platform. But still, I think the money
that's when they get hit with the so what.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think the money they have made has been so much and so substantial that they're okay with getting treated as second-class citizens on PlayStation if it means they continue to rake in the dough. So I see Persona being a thing on the Xbox stage. Also, I think Capcom might also be a bit more. I wouldn't say they're as full-throated as Persona. As Sega, because Capcom is still half in, half out with PlayStation, and they're both Capcom and Square are playing both sides pretty well right now. So you'll see more being added to Game Pass, more of a Game Pass play in the third party. But I don't think they're gonna like blow the doors off of it because they're still very closely tied to PlayStation. Same with Square. Will we see one or two maybe things coming? Sure. Because Square likes money. They'll still take.
No, but I think Square has their own show. I don't think they're showing anything. I don't think Square's showing anything.
I think they will. If they do some kind of deal with Xbox, I wouldn't be surprised. Even though they have like Final Fantasy rumored to be coming, a new Final Fantasy, and multiple projects that have already been shown off that are exclusive to PlayStation, they like taking the money.
If
Microsoft is offering them the money, they'll take it.
Do you hear anything about Final Fantasy VII Remake on the Xbox tomorrow? No. Will
it happen? Eventually it will. Yes. But when
it will happen when nobody cares
be a
anymore.
Game Pass, it'll be a Game Pass tweet drop because because like Bandai Namco, it is my opinion that Square wants to continue, is very, very cognizant of being in the PlayStation business, and they don't want to upset PlayStation. So even if they do give Xbox Final Fantasy, they'll do it in a not so elevated, hey, everybody look at this kind of way, because that would piss off Microsoft, piss off Sony, and they're already in bed with Sony. That's what I think. Will it happen? 100%. They like the money. They'll take it. They just won't be all about the marketing as well. It'll just kind of drop.
Is Battlefield in Game Pass? Do we get that announcement tomorrow? We don't get that announcement.
No, it won't be in Game Pass day one, but it'll be in Game Pass soon after. Why? Because I think that all the back and forth that they've now been receiving in the Twitter streets will make a difference.
See, I differ with you. I think we hear about being in Game Pass tomorrow.
No, I doubt it. And you know why I doubt it? Do you know why I doubt it?
It's also the only way I'm playing that game.
Well, definitively, that's the only way I'll be playing that game. But do you know why I doubt it? Because when they came out and they said what they said, they also showed you all the benefits you'll get if you're in Game Pass and if you're in EA Play. They've already come out and said, oh, you get this, you get that, meaning that's it. Unless a new deal is struck, because they look around and they go, yeah, people kind of don't like the fact that we're paying more for less, then maybe we're talking Game Pass. But as of before they made that announcement, there was no Game Pass. Their Game Pass thing was, hey, we'll give you extra perks for being in Game Pass, because this is a service-based game, which is all about the perks, all about the loot, right? So we'll make your having Game Pass and or EA Play valuable by giving you extra perks that normal people wouldn't get. But I don't think they put it in Game Pass.
Also, how does it look if I'm an EA Play subscriber and Battlefield is in Game Pass for free, but not EA Play? I don't know that EA.
Well, but that's the thing. EA Play has two levels of their service. There's EA Play Plus, and then there's EA Play Standard. So EA Play Plus, you get a bunch of stuff for free. Like Biomutant came out, it was free. I think Slow Mo was playing it through that service, right? So that's how they can thread that needle. But you are right. EA Play Plus is not on Xbox. So if they happen to release Battlefield to the masses, then they would have to put it, either they would have to say it's a special deal with Xbox, or they would have to put it into EA Play Standard and have everybody who has EA Play get it. I doubt that they'll do the latter. They'll probably say, this is a special deal with Xbox, something like that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that's going to piss off their EA Play customers.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And I don't know that they want to do that. So that's something that's not in my favor. But but my hot take is that we do hear that tomorrow, because I think that would get the number of people playing that day one. The question is, how much does Microsoft want to pay for that?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Now, all right. So your money is no Sam Fisher. You think that anime on Netflix is just coming out for no reason? Dude, I don't think so. I don't think it's coming out for no reason. Did you think that Banjo and Kazooie being added to Smash was for a reason? Because clearly it's also for no reason. We could find out tomorrow that something is different. We shall see. Now I'd be happy to be wrong, but they've blown their load once already. I wouldn't be surprised if they did it again. Okay. Now so no Sam Fisher. No what do you call it in Game Pass? What is the big Game Pass announcement that they're going to be adding? I think it's something big, and it's a day and date game. So what is it? I think Game Pass, I think it'll be Death by 1,000 Cuts this time. It's not a big game. Maybe that Melissa McGame Pass tweet or email okay. Says then I will different. Say I don't know. You're right. You're right. One big title in there. What big title's coming that could go in? Battlefield 6. Besides Battlefield. Besides if Battlefield didn't show up, what big known commodity should be? Oh, Far Cry 6. I'll do you one better. Uplay Plus. We get that announcement tomorrow. No. That's a end of the year kind of conversation, just like they did with EA Play. I don't think that's because they had EA Play sewn up during E3 during the games thing, and they ended up showing it off and announcing it at the end of the year. No, they announced it in the middle of the summer and said it was coming at the end of the year. Yeah, you're right. And we didn't have an E3 that year, so it could have been at E3. It just wasn't. Okay, right. Okay, I see what you're saying. So you're thinking that Ubisoft Uplay Plus gets announced, and that is your sizzle reel of a bunch of things that you could say are coming to Game Pass. But then I'm still right, because that's Death by 1,000 Cuts. There's not one big game, but that's still Uplay being added. Now, here's the thing. The purpose of this show is to juice the Game Pass numbers. Would you agree or would you not agree? The purpose of any Xbox show is to juice Game Pass numbers. Now, so we know that, and we didn't even talk about Star. By the way, Ubisoft Forward has already started. Okay, a few of them are starting here and there. We'll get back. Can you get it on in the background while we finish up? I mean, why the hell not, bro? Why the hell I'm not streaming that whole show. I'm telling you right now. No, I'm not streaming that whole show either. But while we're here, I mean, I would like to see. I was getting some updates, but I'll throw it on in the background and we can see what's good. Just in the here and now. But still, I don't know, man. I don't know about like Ubisoft being officially announced. I think that might be a little much. I think the purpose of the show is to juice the Game Pass numbers, and that's the way you do it. Now, what are your predictions for how Halo is going to show? Yeah, that's tough for me. I don't know, man. Don't snake out of this one. That's tough for me. Look, because I want them to show it like full, like just go out, just do it. Just like, remember y'all were hating on it before, now look at it. But that's not in their best interest. And they don't need to do it. They don't need to do it. It's not a mandate. They don't need to do it. They can just show multiplayer as everyone suggests they will, and just keep it moving. No. You want me to give you a prediction? I predict there may be a bit of gameplay on a bit of what do you call it? A bit of what the heck you call it? Campaign gameplay
but very, very, very little. Very little. Not much to call home about. Like this is not going to be one of those, oh, you saw it, it sucked before, now look at it. I don't think it'll be one of those.
But what if they show you, this is what I think you'll get a little bit of the campaign gameplay, but you'll get things that are more indoors, right? So you can get more of the ray trace lighting and reflections and things like that. And I think you will get something to show off the graphics
September 16th.
With in-game cutscenes.
Okay, I can see
right?
that. I can see that. I want them to be focused on the single player, but I think they'll be focused on the multiplayer because they were focused on the single player.
They will, but there needs to be, because here's the thing. If you need to show off the graphics, the multiplayer is not really going to show you that because it'll be scaled back in order to accommodate the 120 frames a second. So
I agree.
They know they have to show something graphics wise, right? And yes, I also agree with Scrub Nurse. I think that's another big thing. I think we get the beta announcement.
That's low hanging fruit for both you and Scrub. There's literally, if you go on the Microsoft freaking store right now, when you search for the multiplayer, there's a date of like June. Is it June 30th or something like that? Like there's a date for this month on there.
Right. So you get the Halo beta and you get Flight Sim this week on Tuesday, and you get Tunic the demo.
So let's put this out there real quick. Flight Sim, the Flight Sim coming. Okay. It has been dribs and drabs here and there. I say, when it's all said and done, Flight Sim will be the first real showcase for series.
No,
like Flight Sim will be the first. Yes. Why? And this is my reason why. Okay, and we've had this conversation already. Okay, I've heard. Tim Dog knows people. I've heard his thoughts on the matter. That's one. Secondly, I have a pretty killer machine. Like my machine's similar to your machine, right? 64 gigs, 3080 card, all this stuff. We have i9 processor, good, decent SSDs left and right. We have good NVMe M.2 drives.
Yes.
Not your standard stuff, the real deal, right? We have all that. The one that's installed in my OS is PCIe 4.0. Same speed as the series. Well, not exactly the same, but the same protocol that allows for those speeds as the series consoles and the PlayStation for that matter, because they're all using PCIe 4.0. Most PCs use 3.0. Still, when I run like this, when I run a Flight Sim on my PC, like I barely scratch 60 frames per second. Barely, right? And you tweak, and you can get a little higher, right? And that's just how PC rolls, right? So obviously they're going to have to optimize heavily for the consoles, which we know they're going to already anyway. And so many games have been released since that console has been out. So many games have been released that don't use a single piece of the next gen hardware. All they use is what's in the old gen hardware, only at a higher, more powerful clip. Meaning, like when the games that are being released right now, right? The games that are considered next gen releases, yeah, they're using the same amount of cores. It's just the cores are faster because they have to use the same amount of cores because it's tied to the old gen, and the old gen has those cores too. So you have to use the same amount of cores. Obviously, if it's faster, it runs better. Great. They use the same amount, like basically the highway for building games, and I'll keep it vague. The highway for building games has multiple avenues, but because they are tied to the past generation, they have to follow the exact same method in order to keep compatibility and then trim things here and there as they see fit, qua graphics and this and that. When they move away from that, then they will have those stipulations will no longer be a factor in the equation, and Flight Sim will be the first game that does it. Flight Sim will be the first game that uses all of the velocity architecture because it needs it in order to even run. Like my monster of a beast can barely hit 60 frames. There is no way on earth that the Series X and S can run Flight Sim standard. It's not possible.
Maybe they open with Flight Sim.
Yes, I think they might, because I'm telling you, how often have you played that game?
Not much. I played the tutorial.
Flight Sim is the new Can It Run Crisis.
Oh yeah, I know
That's
that.
what Flight Sim is. Okay. Any game build, any PC building website, they will, like, you go there, like, you know, these days there are websites that build the PC for you. All you do is pick the parts, and they'll give it to you based on the game you want to play. Oh, you want to play Overwatch? Well, this specs will get you 100 and something frames. You want to play this? Well, it'll get you 20 frames. Every time they go to Flight Sim, and they say it like proudly, 45 frames per second. I'm talking a 30, 90. I'm talking like monster specs. 45, 50. They won't even come out and lie to you and say you're getting 60 frames because they know you're not. You're going to have to turn things down. You know what I'm saying? There is no way.
Well, but we don't know
if you
it's
had
going to
medium. The medium ran okay on the Xbox compared to PC, because again, the medium wasn't first party, right? They did the best they could with the dev kit after the fact. Like, they got it late in the production. They didn't get it day one, right? This is manufactured. Okay. Maybe I'll change my wording and say this. If they don't do this, then they deserve all the hell they get. Microsoft does. Because you gotta stop depending on your third parties, right? You've been full-throated about how powerful this thing is compared to everyone else. Every game that has been released so far has not used more than even 40% of what this new hardware is. The machine learning, all the hardware, the features that have been built in, the compression, the compression packs that PlayStation is using but Xbox isn't. So many games that are multiplats now, PlayStation's download size way smaller than Xbox. Why? Because devs aren't using Xbox's variant of the same thing. They're using PlayStation's version. They're using the Kraken compression, but they're not using the velocity. None of them have tapped into full velocity architecture. Flight Sim will be the first. And if it's not, it'll run like 12 frames per second on the Xbox. And they don't want that.
We'll see. Now, stop motion is going to look like. Okay, so now,
yes.
Do we, and we're going to wrap up soon, right?
Yeah, we'll
I'm wondering if we will get anything. What do you think is the Capcom? What do you think Capcom brings to the show?
Capcom is more like what they've always been. I don't think Capcom is going to be huge. I think Capcom is going to be the known commodity. They've been very good for Resident Evils. I don't think they're planning on. I don't foresee Resident Evil, like the latest Resident Evil, coming into Game Pass anytime soon, because it made such a splash. If it didn't make such a splash, if it didn't make as much money, then maybe. But right now, since it's such, the 7 foot, whatever, 9 foot lady stepping on people's faces left and right, memes are all over the place. No way they feel the need to take the bag because they're making money.
All right.
So I suspect there'll be more remakes, more of their stuff that used to be elsewhere that now maybe finds its way on Game Pass. I don't think it'll be huge.
I remember what I wanted to ask you now.
Sure.
WB Games said that all the games that people cared about will not be at the show. Why do you think that is? Right? So Arkham, whatever, Arkham City or whatever it is.
Well, but see, if we lived in a world where there was no pandemic, I hear you. But we do live in that world.
Gotham Knights,
yes.
We do live in that
world. Well, but think of it this way. We live in that pandemic world, and even a studio organization that's a well-oiled machine are delayed left and right. Now you're talking about an organization that's tried to sell twice. But I don't think they've focused on the goal. They may have been delayed for many other reasons. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're selling left and right. Today it's turmoil. Tomorrow's turmoil. Yeah.
No.
Doesn't mean they get the game done on time. There may be righteous reasons for delays, and not because, secretly Microsoft bought them or another company bought them and they want to announce it. I doubt that's the reason. I think this is a genuine delay.
So you think that those games don't show up anywhere in all of E3?
I don't think any of those games show up anywhere on E3. I think we see them next year.
Why does WB Games have a show if you're not showing the 3 games you were working on?
Does WB Games have a game show? Like their own game show? I wasn't sure about that.
I thought that they did. Hold on.
Yeah. If they do, then whoa, all bets are off. But I thought maybe some of their games may be showed off elsewhere, because they do have ties to some other publishers, to PlayStation, to Xbox. I'm sure something will come out there, WB, whether it be remakes or remasters or whatever. But to say that their new wares are going to be shown off there, I don't know yet. Honestly. I don't know yet. I don't think so. Unless you're telling me they got a show, in which case all bets are off.
2 p.m. Okay, no, it's just a half hour of Back 4 Blood.
There you go. You go. See, and so I heard there was a leak that Back 4 Blood is coming to Game Pass on day one. Yes, it's not a leak. It's actually out there. Like you can even see it. Like you can see it like a big thing.
What is Back 4 Blood?
Back 4 Blood is Left 4 Dead. Listen to the title.
Okay.
That's it. Gotcha. That's all you need to know. Back 4 Blood, Left 4 Dead. The same studio made them. Both. One they made with Steam, the other one Valve, I should say. The other one then they're making, out of Valve. So it's not Left 4 Dead 3 because they can't use Left 4 Dead. So Back 4 Blood.
Okay.
If you look at it, it's exactly the same game, only newer graphics.
Okay. All right.
Close to wrapping up. What else?
Yes. So. What do you think?
You mean Rainbow Six Pandemic, or what was it?
Yes.
Yes.
Is Starfield gonna hit? And you never answered me whether you think Halo is gonna be redeemed.
I think
those are my last two questions.
Halo will be redeemed for people who love Halo. Halo won't be redeemed for those on the fence. Halo won't be redeemed for those PlayStation diehards who want to see it fall.
Hold on. Let me stop you right there. Fuck them. There's enough of us Halo fans.
I agree. I agree. So for those of us who want to see Halo done right, we'll be happy. For those of us who like the grapple shot and running, we'll be ecstatic. There probably will be some old school diehards that may not be so happy. And then of course you'll have the haters who will come out in droves. That's neither here nor there. I think Halo will be good for Halo.
This ain't for you.
Let me guess. Rocksmith Plus. I have Rocksmith original one. I'm actually learning to play guitar using it. My guitar's right there. If you see, it's like right next to the piano.
I was on the guitar playing.
It's pretty good software. I like it. They actually, and I'm a musician. I'm a music guy in my past. I have lots of different instruments that I play. I play woodwind instruments, but I think this thing is pretty cool. Like I might look into this.
All I know how to play is Redemption Song.
Hey, if you need to know a song to play, that's a damn good song to play. Okay, if that's the only song you ever play, please, it's all good. Redemption Song is a worthy title to play. So okay, you were saying Halo, and you were saying the other one that is your second question.
Is Starfield going to blow everyone away and be worth all this anticipation?
I mean, was Elden Ring worth all those anticipation?
No.
In your opinion. Question answered.
Okay.
But no game is worth that crazy anticipation. Like they put it on a freaking pedestal. Will Starfield be awesome? I have no doubt. They're putting a lot of effort into it. They're really doing it. This is like Todd, I'm sorry, God Howard putting his full might. I love it when they do that. Pong Soul and the rest of them.
By the way, who runs the ZeniMax Studios? Like, is Todd Howard just Bethesda?
Todd Howard is just Bethesda, like the Bethesda studio.
Right.
Each of them have their own different heads, but of course
But there's one head of those. There's one like King of Kings, right? Like who's that?
Yeah, I don't know who the King of Kings is there. I think it might be what's his name? The marketing manager. He seems like the marketing manager. It seems like Pete has more to do than just be the marketing manager. Pete is not just Aaron Greenberg. He seems to have more of a role than.
So you think Pete is Matt Booty of Bethesda?
I think so. I'm not sure. I mean,
it would be hilarious if everybody still reported to Matt Booty.
Could be. I honestly think if Pete Hines isn't the Booty of Bethesda, he soon will be. Look at the roundtable. Look at how he asserts himself. The man has got it. He always has. Every single Bethesda showcase we've seen at E3, he has been the runner of show, and he's always knocked it out of the park in this swagger daggers swearing. Like he got it like that.
But does that make him the Major Nelson of Bethesda?
I think the hot take. I think Major Nelson's time.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
It's past his prime.
I don't know if he's past his prime. I don't know if he's
used to be great.
I don't think he's past his prime.
I don't know about past his prime. I take that back. I think the role they've given him has diminished. I loved how he used to be.
I think,
and now he's kind of diminished.
I think Colt is auditioning for his job. When
think Colt Eastwood's gonna get replaced?
Yes, I think that whenever the GOAT Larry Herb is ready to hang up the cape, right?
You think
this is not a replacement. I just think he dons the cape.
The problem is,
I think he dons the James Brown cape on Colt Eastwood.
The problem with that is, as much as I would like that, because I think Colt Eastwood would be a great representative for Xbox, he also is, whether he chooses to or not, he's an unfortunate victim of the console war. And probably Microsoft doesn't want that hanging over them.
I don't know.
Because whether he doesn't, I will agree that he doesn't play in those waters. But many of them attach themselves to him.
The problem,
that it might be problematic.
I think that's a little too hyperbolic, in that the reason his channel has grown to where it has, and the larger audience for Xbox is not in these Twitter streets with us paying attention to that.
It's out there. Yes,
right.
True.
So
and to the average man, he might be a breath of fresh air. I do hear you.
Exactly. I think he has his pulse to the street.
I vote for Colt too. I vote for Colt for sure, because I think he does a great job. His every single single video he releases is basically his resume for, hey, make me the next Major Nelson, and I'm there for it. I think he deserves it. And it's not to say that Major Nelson doesn't do good work, but it seems like back in the day, his role used to be more front facing, and now he does a lot more, and his front facing role is more of has taken a back seat a bit. So you don't see him out there like he used to be out there. You know what I'm saying? And I actually would like a newer face, maybe a younger face. I don't know. We'll see. But yes, I do. If Colt gets the job, I'll be sitting here clapping yup, good for you, bro. You deserve it for sure. So okay, are we rounding the bottom of the barrel?
That's all I got, man. And I don't have crazy predictions, because all I want is the stuff we know about already. All this new stuff is icing on the cake. I was hyped for the show last week before all the acquisition talk started. I want dates on Crossfire X. I want dates on the Gunk. I want dates. I want to be able to play Tunic, which I will. I want to be able to play Flight Sim, which I will. I want to know what Starfield is, which I will learn. Yeah. I want to see Halo get its proper due, and I believe it will. And all of that alone, if nothing else happened, if all the rumors are false, that is the best Xbox show
I'm right there with you. 100%.
So I'm excited in the most conservative sense.
Okay.
Right? A lot of people get hyped up. And by the way, that the Ubisoft logo looks a lot like a swirl.
Yes.
Like a cyclone.
Stop.
I'm just saying.
Stop.
I'm just saying.
Stop.
Okay. All right. Sure.
Stop.
But what I'm saying, if none of the crazy stuff happens, I'm super hyped.
Yeah. As long as they button up all the threads they left hanging last time.
Multiplayer demo.
That's a good look. Yeah.
And dates from that stuff. And then we're going to get some new announcements of the games that have not been announced yet. And maybe we will see some gameplay from one or two of the games that they announced last year with a CG trailer. And that is enough.
I agree. What I will say, I really, and for those who happen to still be watching, or those who catch this on VOD, we will have actual predictions and this and that, because tomorrow we will be on Double Barrel Gaming. I think it's 30 minutes or so before the Microsoft Bethesda show. We'll have some predictions there. We'll watch the show together. We'll recap, and we'll give our thoughts after. So if you want that official, hey, what's going on, this and that, you'll get that there. I will say, for now, and you know this because we've had conversations. My thoughts on this has evolved in the last couple of weeks, because initially I was convinced that they were being very conservative. more conservative than I think they needed to be. Because they can afford to be that way. They're not the selling of plastic. They're not the, hey, here we are convincing you to sell buy our plastic so that we can then inundate you with buying our software later. That's not their game. So because that's not their game, and it's not very easy to sell this time, I figured they'd choose the easy route. But now it seems like they're quelling the calls for calm. That's what they're doing. They're not doing it officially. Microsoft. It seems like those in the know, who usually are the ones that get the, hey, temper your expectations, right? They say that on background. Now it seems that they're going opposite.
Okay, I got you. I didn't understand what you were saying. You're saying they're quelling the calls for calm. I thought you were saying they're calling for calm, and I was
no. They're quelling the calls for calm. Because last week, everybody started coming out and going, well, Halo Infinite might not be the showstopper everybody was thinking it would be, and this and that. And now all of a sudden they're going, I used to not be so optimistic, but now I am. Like those who know, it's almost like anyone and when I say those who know, I'm talking about the key stakeholders. I'm talking about your Jeff Grubbs. I'm talking about your Jess Cordons. I'm talking about those who literally have lines into Microsoft. Guess what? Went from conservative to now going, which tells me not that they're right. It tells me that Microsoft is dropping a bug in various ears to change the narrative. Whether it is to lie and troll or whatever, that remains to be seen. But I'm telling you, Microsoft is putting their finger on the button right now.
But guess what? No one is talking about.
What's no one talking about?
Halo. All these rumors and stuff, and all this stuff came about after they were saying don't expect much from Halo.
Yep.
Does that concern you? No, because they said don't expect much from Halo. Halo's gonna be a little less than da. And as soon as that was said, now all of a sudden but it's gonna be this, it's gonna be that. Now they're buying.
What that tells me is this. Okay, those that know that vertical slices are actually separate pieces of software and not, we're halfway done, let's just show you what we got. That's not what a vertical slice is. It's a different piece of software that's worked on and then discarded when they're done. Those that know that then know that they might not want to work on a vertical slice instead of actually working on the game proper. So maybe this is a situation of when conversations of Halo came out and they were like, it might not be so good, instead of leaving that narrative to fester and having people expect a full blowout at E3 that won't happen because they're busy trying to build the game. They then went on background to then go, look, you may not get the full showcase of Halo that you're looking for because we're busy with that still. It's still slated for release at a certain time. We will definitely get a release date, I suspect. We will get a release date tomorrow. Even if we don't get the full-throated walkthrough, we'll get a release date. I honestly think if we don't see much of Halo, it's because of that. The reason why Microsoft came out in the background and started going, hey, start revving your hype engines is because, Halo might not be the best here. It might not be the tip of the spear, sure, but here are all the other crazy things we got going on. So be excited. I think that's what might be going on here. But that doesn't mean that Halo will be shit. It just means that it may not be ready to show, and they're not willing to break off 50 people to go do a vertical slice that then gets discarded. It might be a waste of resources. Right? They want to show and prove, let the game speak for itself when it's done, rather than go try and give you another vertical slice that may or may not convince you it's better now. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Maybe put all the energy into the final product, I suspect.
Okay. Now, does Halo come out before or after the cutoff for Game of the Year? Because that's sometime in November.
I honestly don't think they are. I don't think they look at that Game of the Year talk for that specifically with Halo because in addition to that, the critical date for Halo is their anniversary, which is November 15th, I think. I think that's the 30th. The 30th. I think the anniversary of Halo is November 15th.
Okay.
I think so. So that's why everybody was like, as soon as they said Halo was delayed, they were like, oh yeah, we know when it's going to release next year, November, whatever, because that's the actual Halo anniversary. So, I think it would be a better marketing play to tie it to that rather than to get it in under the Game of the Year window. Because come on, let's be honest here. Are we really
because
how
Psychonauts is
confident
gonna
are
win.
you, dude? We will revisit this conversation. I would be happy if any Microsoft product makes a showing on that stage, gets a nod on that stage. And by Microsoft product, I don't mean Bethesda, because to the masses, Bethesda is not fully integrated yet. Because Ori was a effing masterpiece. It didn't even make a blimp on their radar, not even a boop. And if Psychonauts 2 does, it's because it's multiplayer. You can play it on PS5, baby. That's where all the those who want it have played it. It seems that the problem is if it's stuck on Xbox, presumably stuck on Xbox, then all the judges won't watch it or play it enough to see that it's worthy. So it seems, because if it wasn't that way, why didn't Ori get at least a nod? Did Cuphead get a nod for Game of the Year?
I don't think it did. No.
Exactly. And Cuphead came out a year later to PlayStation platform, and now of course it's too late to do that. But do you think that Cuphead would have at least gotten a nod beforehand? It's a very hard game like Celeste, and Celeste got all nods when it came out.
Yeah, but Celeste,
I don't care about it winning.
No, I'm just saying. So that's all I'm looking at is the nomination. Celeste allowed you to, change that, put it in half scale time.
I'm not saying that it compares because it's a direct correlation to its gameplay. I'm saying that when Cuphead came out, it made such a big splash because of its visuals, because of its music, because of its difficulty, all that, and still it made no radar. Like it just nothing. Cuphead was beloved. I mean, what was it? Wayne Brady is voicing the freaking the mean character, like the antagonist character in the game. It's gonna be a TV show. Like it is that well known now. It didn't even get a blimp on the radar as far as, hey, let's get a nomination. So I am not confident that any Microsoft product will get a nomination.
I think a product that is worthy will get the nomination. I don't think it's as fixed as it used to be.
Sure. No, well, obviously it's not that fixed. But
no, I'm just saying as
my historical evidence of other worthy products not even getting mentioned tells me that this worthy product
that was a different time.
Hopefully, yes.
You see everybody switching over. All right, let's wrap this thing up because we're doing one of these Iron Lords level shows now.
See, check it out. If Kojima jumps to Xbox, watch the same thing. Yup. Okay. If Kojima jumps to Xbox with the greatest PT level horror game, that thing won't even do that.
Or is Kojima gonna go full Kojima?
Never go full Kojima now.
I don't know what we're watching on screen, but
it's basically what Bethesda, it's what Ubisoft do. This is your service-based. Yeah, this service-based game, that service-based game, this shooter for service game, that shooter for. But the Ubisoft Forward is always good for maybe one or two unique games, and then the rest is always this. This game has been around for years now.
This game looks like Fall Guys, but with RC.
Yes, and then there's this game also.
What is this? What?
It's just a skin. That game, the Brawlzilla, is their version of
all right.
And they're just adding the turtles into it.
I got hyped for a second.
And then see Crew 2. All of it is just service after service. Where's your magic? Give me that single player bang. I'm waiting for that.
Did you see that Corvette, that red Corvette C8?
Yeah.
Soon. That's all I'm saying. Soon.
Okay, folks. So we're gonna wrap this up. You will see us all over the place. But if you choose not to check those other sources, you will catch us next week right here back at the Gaming Circle. We will discuss all the craziness that has happened in the world of E3 once it's all happened. If you're not willing to wait, like I said, Double Barrel Gaming will be there tomorrow. We'll be there Monday. Because
I think that's a 5-hour stream tomorrow because
it will be nuts. And I am super, super excited because that'll be my first time to be able to podcast with Lord Cognito and the rest of them. I've been a huge fan forever.
Whoa, what did I just see? Oh, this is a Rainbow Six thing.
Rainbow Six, yeah. And on Monday I get the podcast with them, so I'm totally excited. So you'll see us there tomorrow. If you check the Boom stream, I'll be the dude in the full Xbox Snuggie with the freaking with the hoodie up. It's gonna go down tomorrow. We're gonna go crazy. We're also, and if I'm not mistaken, Boom is uncharacteristically mandating camera so people can like see us go wild on stream in real time. So that'll be fun. Before that time, Mr. Everborn Saga, please let the people know where they can find you if they're looking for you.
All right. Well, I mean, it depends on who's looking for me, but no, you can find me at Everborn Saga everywhere. That's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. But most importantly, everbornsaga.com, where you can get yourself these books. I got to remind everybody every week. And Ariel's Adventure is getting ready to release in about a week or two, as soon as we get our print shipment, which is on our way. I think it just passed customs in California. They're going to ship it to us soon, and then we'll have that release. You can also catch me, like Kay Asante said, tomorrow, starting at I think 12:15. We are going live to give our live reactions to the Xbox E3 conference and whatever comes after that. And then on Thursday, you can catch us on the Really Real Talk episode 7, where I don't know what we're going to talk about yet, but it'll be movie and TV related. And we'll be back here next Saturday.
Watch In the Heights. We're going to have a conversation.
Oh, Jesus Christ. And then next Saturday, we'll come back here and we'll be able to digest everything that happened over the course of E3 week. So lots happening, lots to stream. And again, check out everbornsaga.com and check me out, Everborn Saga, everywhere else. Thank you, everybody. Long stream, Scrub Nurse. Shout out to you, Gerald Mack.
Thank you, Gerald Mack.
Appreciate all the comments here.
Live.
Big Bad Mo, Greg Sposen, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. And if you happen to catch this on demand, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Leave a comment, subscribe, like it. Obviously, that's what YouTube needs for us to keep going. We appreciate all of you who join us and want to have conversation with us. We want to do a lot more with the community as we grow. So keep up with us. But until then, like we said, you can catch us. You can catch me and Everborn Saga tomorrow at 12 on Double Barrel Gaming. You can catch us again on Primetime Gaming at 7 on Monday. It's all E3 all the time, and it's not just Xbox. We will be chopping it up with any and everything that comes on and we see on those shows. It will be full-throated with excitement as I expect we will be. But until then, we really appreciate you watching, and goodbye.